Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. Happy Christmas Eve. Today we have a collection of stories, a compilation if you like of older stories. Just as you're doing your Christmas Eve preparations, I'm probably going to be busy over the next few days, so I wanted to give you something as, you know, some of you like to listen to stuff in the background, and I thought it'd be nice to do something like that over the Christmas period. So just a huge thank you for being here, wishing you a wonderful day ahead of you, and let's get started. Now, today's first story is from Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit from Substantial Fox 4386 and says, Am I the arsehole here for telling a friend that my husband can't be cheating on me and she's just projecting? For context, I, 31 female, have been with my husband Jay, 34 male, for 10 years. We met through mutual friends, began dating shortly after, and became engaged after being together for about 2 years. We aren't legally married yet, as we both agreed we wanted an all-out wedding and to travel for our honeymoon, but that is expensive, and we wanted to prioritize spending our money on things like our house, our vehicles, medical, and so on. We bought each other matching rings that we wear as if we are married, refer to each other as husband and wife, and present as married socially. We just haven't actually had a wedding. Our families understand this, and since we are both children of divorce, our parents were fine with us not wanting to get married, since their opinion of marriage was somewhat skewed, to put it politely. Most of our friends also don't comment on our lack of being officially married, as they either don't care, agree with our logic that there are more important things to spend money on, or are the sort of people who think the point of a legal marriage isn't as necessary as it has been in the past. Then there's Trisha, 28 female. I met Trisha through an old job and we got along really well. We enjoyed the same music, food, and had similar opinions on things like movies, books, and clothes. Trisha is a lovely person, and I do genuinely enjoy a friendship, but she occasionally goes through these odd phases where she analyzes the behavior of men in our social circle. She will present her theories to us ladies based on things like social media posts, odd behaviors. She says she noticed during our group barbecues or beach trips, things like that. While I have no problem calling out potential shitty behavior in a friend, the things she deems suspicious don't really hold water in my opinion. For example, she's never quite let go of considering a male friend gay, and her evidence is that he's a bit of a perpetual bachelor. According to him, his bachelor status is because he's holding out for a girl who doesn't mind his transient lifestyle as a man who has to travel a lot for work, and would want to join him rather than wait around at home. But according to Trisha, he must be having gay dalliances across the country and refuses to tell us, even though many in our friend group are gay, out of the closet, and even bring their partners to social events. Then there's my sweet Jay. Jay has never been a very physical, affectionate person, and he is likely autistic, but isn't interested in having a formal diagnosis. He took the RADS-R, a test to screen for autism in undiagnosed adults, about 4 years ago, when he was seeking treatment for chronic migraines, and the results suggested strongly that he may be autistic. Once he got those results back, he sort of got over the idea of wanting answers for some of his mental health questions, preferring to just go to therapy and work on finding good treatment for his migraines. According to him, the RADS-R was good enough to solve the mystery, and provided some closure for him. I didn't press the issue, as the idea of getting on his case about a diagnosis he didn't feel he needed seemed unnecessarily harsh to me. On top of that, Jay loves fishing. When you put these two facts together, hopefully a picture gets painted for you, but I'll clarify anyway. He knows about all the different types of aquatic environments in our area that you can legally fish, when all the different spawning seasons are, what every species eats, how they hunt, and how he can even tell what sort of fish is on his hook based on how it feels when he's pulling them in. He can look at a body of water and instantly tell you if fishing will be good that day, and he has never been wrong. It's like living with a fish-based psychic. Since I am an avid lover of seafood, his fishing and pursuit of fish-centric knowledge has only been a boon to me. I can express interest in wanting a fish dinner on Monday morning, and that night he will bring home and cook up enough fish for us to eat like royalty. He's even excited to catch fish to make into fertilizer for my new rose bushes, since he feels confident he'll be able to pull up the perfect food for my new roses. The suspicious activity, according to Trisha, is that he often goes on spur-of-the-moment fishing trips by himself and can sometimes be gone for hours. He will randomly stand up, say something like, "Alright, fishing time," and give me a kiss before he hits the road. but I could ordinarily agree that something like that could be suspicious. I know factually that Jay isn't cheating, and he always sends me countless pictures and videos while he's on these trips, as well as calling me on the phone when he's particularly excited about a good catch, how he's trying to get uniquely sneaky fish, a cool bird he saw, things like that. Even if he's gone for 10 hours, my phone will be blowing up for all 10 of those hours with pictures of his sunshine smile next to a fish, or videos of him cheering as he shows what he's got on the stringer, a long, thin rope used to keep fish alive, but attached to your boat in the water. I adore these pictures, videos and phone calls since they make my heart so full with how much joy he feels and how at peace he is on the water. I would join him more often, but I usually stay home since it wouldn't be fair to our dogs if both of us left for undefined amounts of time on a whim. Instead, I find peace in watching through his eyes. When he comes home, I'm always happy to get the play-by-play of how the trip went, while Jay prepares the fish for us to eat. We even have a game now where he quizzes me on what type of fish he caught, and if I win, I get a big hug. None of this is good enough for Trisha. For years now, she had her suspicions about Jay, but I've always brushed them off as I'm secure in my relationship and trust Jay implicitly. When Trisha first brought her theory to me, I brought it up to Jay, who was genuinely hurt, and asked if I shared in her suspicions and wanted to go fishing less. I told him no, but I felt that he deserved to know what Trisha was telling people about him. He understood and was willing to let sleeping dogs lie. Over the years, as Jay and I kept on keeping on, unmarried and in fishy bliss, Trisha became more and more adamant that not only was Jay cheating, but that was the reason we weren't married, is that he convinced me to wait for an expensive wedding and he would rather continue on cheating during fake fishing trips. Her proof was his random trips, the fact that he doesn't physically touch me a lot when we're in public, and how he never lets me go with him. Countless times I've shown her the giant folder of fishing pictures and videos in my phone, call logs showing how often we're in communication, and told her I didn't need to have him grabbing on me or dangling off me in public to feel secure with him. I've brought up our responsibilities as dog owners to not leave them alone for hours on a whim without the ability to relieve themselves outside. I've even told her multiple times over the years that she's more than welcome to ask Jay if she could tag along on a trip to see for herself how committed he is to fishing, but she always refuses. Again, since Jay has been fine with ignoring the drama, I let it slide, up until about a week ago. Jay was talking about going on a day-long fishing trip with two of our friends, Vince and Maria, who are married, as they expressed interest in going and saw the trip as a sort of blend between a staycation and a chartered boat trip. Trisha spoke privately to me, saying that I must be happy that Maria is going, since she'll be able to ensure that not only Jay can't cheat on me, but that Vince can't cover for him if he tries to. I'd finally had enough, as now she was dragging poor Vince into this and slandering his character, when all Vince had done is agree to a day trip with an old friend. I told Trisha that she needs to either bring her suspicions directly to Jay and hash it out with him, or let it go, because as far as I'm concerned, she's projecting her issues onto Jay, since Trisha can't keep a guy longer than 3 months. While that assessment isn't entirely true, I wanted to hurt her feelings and cut her down to size, since that's my sweet Jay she's dragging through the mud. Trisha not only took it personally, but she said that I was just naive and was afraid to be single. I told Trisha that she was projecting again, since she's a serial dater who scares men off with her wannabe Sherlock Holmes nonsense, and she just can't fathom a man with a real hobby because she only goes after half-baked fake gym bros more interested in their own tits than hers, and wannabe finance bros who blow their entire paychecks on crypto. She stopped talking to me after that and hasn't reached out to me since. Granted, I haven't reached out to her either, but I'm mad at her because she was rude. Our friend group doesn't really give this entire situation much weight, saying stuff like, "That's just how she is," or "What did you expect?" Or "We know Jay isn't cheating, but he's an exception to the rule." And maybe Trisha just doesn't see that. While I was willing to stand my ground at first and not budge on the issue, now I'm wondering if maybe I was too harsh and should apologize for being petty just because I wanted to knock her down a peg and get her to give up on her theories. Am I the arsehole and should I apologize? Or do I keep all 10 toes in the ground and let her twist? Now, you said around in the 3rd paragraph or so that Trisha is a lovely person, you enjoy her friendship. You know, I'm debating that she's absolutely talking shit about your other half, talking shit about your husband. slandering his character. You need to have some hard evidence if you're going to approach someone with this kind of shit. And I think you really need to take a step back and realize what this person is saying about someone that you love. That's your person. They're saying this about them, accusing them of something awful, which has the possibility, if you weren't so secure in your relationship, of damaging it, of ruining it. That's the path she was going down. But Polar G says, first of all, Jay sounds wonderful. Congrats on snagging him. Good one there, good one, Top Bun. I smiled reading when you were talking about him. Very wholesome. Trisha sucks, man. Trisha isn't helping anyone. She's actively hurting people's marriages, relationships, and friendships. I'd bail on her ASAP. I don't know what you see in a person who's put that much time into belittling your wonderful husband. I was also a little irked by people in your group chat saying Jay is the exception. How? You said Trisha is always doing this and she's wrong as fuck. Why are you friends with Trisha? Is fabricating rumors about your friends being gay and your husband cheating on you. Like to the point that you told Jay this is what she's saying about you to people. Like you know, she didn't just say it to you, but everyone. And you're still letting this bitch hang around. Gross. OP replies saying hearing it framed this way is a shock I think I needed. I wanted to get defensive at first, but you have a really solid point. Someone else here asked if maybe Trisha is interested in Jay. I'm going to dig into that. But now I want to dig into this as well. Thank you for your input. It's put a lot into perspective. Chocolate Candy Bar says, not the arsehole here, but why on earth is friend allowed to talk like this about a couple or try to out a supposed gay, not gay man without anyone telling her to shut the fuck up? Feels like you guys got too stuck with the waves and are not seeing how toxic this person is because you're used to her being eccentric. But no, this is way too much. It's insane to read. I gave my friend evidence of husband not cheating. And even if he's cheating, it's your business and she can't know if you're okay with it. And also it's 2024 and adults are allowed to be married or not. Only cults care so much for other people's lifestyle. OP says, thank you for your words. You and others have helped me get a fresh perspective on everything. And I'll be taking some time to collect my thoughts and get a plan of action for how to get to the bottom of things here. Lots of foul behavior to be sure. So OP comes in with her first update and says, I just wanted to give a small update now before I bring the axe down tonight. This will be shorter, as Jay and I will be going fishing together this afternoon after lunch. I showed Jay the original thread and we had a heart-to-heart that lasted until the wee hours of the morning. Firstly, he wanted me to express his appreciation for you all, as well as a shout out to his fellow fishing enthusiasts. He encourages you all to get out there and try your best, regardless of your success, and to instead share with him the joys it brings, even if we can't all go fishing together. After going through all your beautiful words and generous support, we shared our thoughts on the matter, not only as a couple, but as two people with different levels of attachment to individuals in our friend group. We both agree that we've been holding on to these friendships more out of a sense of nostalgia and desire to be kind, rather than actually examining what these friends brought to the table, and whether or not they enriched our lives. We'd been distracted by a desire for community and old bonds, sacrificing our comfort and respect, not only ourselves, but our choice to be together and have a dynamic that some may not view as normal or valid in some capacities. While Jay and I have different views on what certain friends mean to us, we agree that enough is enough, and it's time to not only establish boundaries, but to not give an inch to those who have caused us to come to this, Trisha especially. That said, Jay is a good man, a strong, whip-smart, generous man, and reading the feedback you all provided made me realize something. I am fucking angry. I allowed a venomous waste of air around my sweet Jay, my Jay. She slandered him, belittled me, devalued what we have, and I allowed it, like some sort of coward. It's going to end now, and I'm ending it my way. I will not be allowing Trisha to slink away from this or have room to twist words to make me look like anything other than a woman with righteous fury regarding the man she vowed to honor and protect. I'm sorry to report I will not be taking the high road, nor will I be handling this with tact and decorum. I'm blowing this bitch's social life sky fucking high, along with anybody that sides with her. Scorched earth, no prisoners, blood for the blood god. Holy moly, this just went the other way. Two little comments from that one. Flomo Joe Blow says as she takes off the earrings and says, hold my purse. Shit just got real. Though you says, I'm popping the popcorn and waiting for the update. So OP comes in with her update and says, I'm going to keep this as brief as possible while still covering it, as there is a lot to cover involving about 15 people, and it's still all hitting the fan. Added the NSFW flair as some of the adult topics will be mentioned below, including potential SA, sexual assault, and drug abuse. So if you do want to skip this part of the story, please feel free to do so. You know where the timestamps are, probably the end of the video at this point. During the fishing trip yesterday, I blocked Trisha on everything and reached out to people to say that Jay and I would be distancing ourselves from Trisha, why we were, and shared what theory Trisha had about them if there was one, along with any screenshots or evidence I had of Trisha talking about them. I also asked a few friends who might know if Trisha might be interested in Jay, as some people pointed out that might have been a motivation for her to get between us. Here's what's been dug up so far. Matt, the friend Trisha alleged was gay, confirmed again that he isn't gay. He shared a story about how he, his roommate, and Trisha had a get together at one point where they drank and smoked some weed. During the night, Trisha got handsy and tried getting together with Matt's roommate, who declined. When they sobered up the following morning, Trisha said it should be fine because men like that sort of thing. After that, Matt and his roommate weren't comfortable with her and effectively barred her from going to their place. Matt suspects this is the origin of the gay rumor, and he's chosen to step away from the social group to reevaluate some things. I didn't want to press him, so I left it there. Vince and Maria have gone dark. Maria believed that Trisha was the victim in all this, and Vince was vague in his responses and seemed to be taking a more hands-off approach. But they stopped responding when another friend sent a screenshot of Trisha alluding to them being swingers because they have a decorative pineapple on their kitchen counter. Neither of them have anyone blocked, but no one can get a response out of them either. One friend got into an argument with his girlfriend after said girlfriend went through his phone because of the drama and found either texts or pics, I don't know which, that according to her, proves that he's been sleeping with Trisha on and off. I heard this from his brother, who reached out after his girlfriend left a voicemail saying she's kicking the friend out, and the brother wanted to know what was going on. I'm not sure exactly what's happening there, as that friend has also gone dark, and none of us know the girlfriend very well or have her phone number. One friend came clean about her struggles with prescription pain meds, after her mother lost her battle with cancer because Trisha had been trying to blackmail her into getting dirt on Matt, Jay, and Vince, and was using the drug abuse as leverage. Admittedly, a lot of my attention got diverted after this came to light because that's a much bigger problem than my beef with Trisha. We're still working on creating a good way for people to be a support system for her moving forward, and that will be what we as a group will focus on from here on out. An old friend of Jay's dropped a nuke by revealing that Trisha tried blowing him in the bathroom during a Friendsgiving dinner we had last year, only to turn around and try to blow a different guy in the bathroom after Chris turned her down. Jay, some other friends, and I created a new Discord server for all the friends coming out of this drama against Trisha, and so far it's been a lot of comparing dates, texts, Discord DMs, but it looks like Trisha has been trying to either sleep with or break up every guy in the friend group, as well as either get rid of or get leverage on every girlfriend in the group. Either way, we have bigger fish to fry now. It's time to put all this behind us and help our friend who really needs it. Thank you for all your kind words and helpful advice, even the harsh stuff. 2 top comments from that one. Always on side TBH says, holy shit, Trisha is a much bigger asshole than ever anticipated initially. Fuck her and her very being. She deserves to be all alone and sad with nobody to talk to after all the stuff she's been doing behind everyone's back. Blackmailing someone who just lost their mother is terrible. She's genuinely such a bad human being. Disgusting person. Also, I'm guessing she's pretty unattractive if everyone is turning down her advances. Lol. She's definitely jealous of all of you guys in happy relationships. Cater's Hater says, swinger pineapples, blackmail, bathroom blowjobs, and of course fishing. This update had everything. 10 out of 10, no notes. Blackmailing someone that's gone through a traumatic experience, grieving, is now struggling with prescription pain meds. It takes a special kind of evil for someone to do that. Holy moly. I always wonder, like, trying to get in Trisha's mind. I don't want to, obviously, but trying to get into their mind and think how they go about their day-to-day life. Do they not ever step back and say, wow, I am an arsehole, or they just think everything is completely normal, that they're the good guys in this for some weird ass reason. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, our next story comes from OrganicLet5948 from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit and says, am I the arsehole for threatening my wife with divorce after she quit her job to be a trad wife? I don't even know where to begin with this. Me, 34 male, and my wife, 33 female, have 2 kids together, 11 male and 9 female. Me and my wife have been together for 12 years and married for 8. Around a year ago, I noticed my wife increasingly sending me these trad wife or traditional housewife TikToks. I have nothing against that type of relationship, but I don't think it makes sense for our current family situation. I do earn quite a bit more than my wife and enough to sustain our family on my own, but I don't see the need to do so. I work 80% and my wife 50%, and besides Wednesdays, where the both of us are working, either one of us is always home for the kids. I could work 100% and let my wife be a stay-at-home mum, but again, both of my kids are attending school, and in my mind, there is no need for my wife to be at home 24/7. She got increasingly pushy about it over the past 2 months, and again, I just kept on telling her that there wasn't any need for that, and if we did decide to go down that route, what would she do during the hours my kids attended school? I knew damn well our house doesn't need to be cleaned for 6 hours a day. She would constantly try to butter me up with, you would have dinner ready every day when coming home from work, and something about unlimited blowjobs or some BS like that. Again, in the nicest way possible, I would remind her that our kids weren't toddlers, and our current work-life schedule allowed us to function perfectly fine. We got into a pretty heated argument 2 weeks ago about it, and my wife completely stopped having sex with me to show me what I'd be missing out on. She'd basically been treating me like a roommate since. I just thought she would get over it, and this was just a phase, but God, was I wrong. I came home from work yesterday and saw a bunch of presents on the dining table. At first, I thought they were all for me since my birthday was in a week, but then I saw the labels on them addressed to my wife. I read one of the letters attached to one of the presents. The last sentence on it was literally, "It was a pleasure working alongside you, and I wish you all the best moving forwards." I thought this was some sick prank. A few minutes later, my wife just casually strolled into the living room, acting like nothing was wrong. I guess she saw my mad expression and had the audacity to tell me, "You'll get over it." I just lost it. I just left without saying another word and went to my parents' house. I feel absolutely disrespected. Why the fuck would my wife think it was okay to just quit her job without telling me and just expect me to be fine with it? My wife has been bombarding me with texts and calls demanding to know where I am and that the kids miss me. I just told her to go and find a lawyer and that I was done with her, and then proceeded to block her. My son just sent me a voicemail crying and asking why I was divorcing mum and if I was leaving the family, and I guess that kind of broke my heart. I haven't responded and honestly don't know what to say to him. My mother-in-law has also been demanding that I return home and apologize to my wife. My parents also seem to be siding with my wife since they are traditional Muslims. My mum also used to be a stay-at-home mum. I feel like I'm wrong for immediately jumping to divorce without hearing her out, and besides this whole job drama, love my wife too much for this to be the end of our otherwise perfect marriage, but on the other hand, I feel like I completely lost trust in her. Should I just swallow my pride and let my wife stay home from now on, or should I follow through on divorcing her? How should I navigate this situation? Am I the arsehole here? Now, OP touched on the trust factor and once the trust is gone, and I mention this a lot in stories, once the trust is gone, what is there? To make a decision that's going to affect your whole family without any discussion, yeah, I can totally see why you lost trust, but what really stuck out to me through the whole story was the amount of manipulation that went on. Withholding sex from you to show you what you'd be missing out on, and gathering family members to turn against you like that. Your own parents as well. And the worst thing for me was getting your son. She's obviously gone to your son and told him all this sort of stuff as well, which, you know, shouldn't have been involved at all. And it breaks my heart that your son left you a voicemail crying. And I totally understand why that would break your heart, but you need to focus that she's manipulating you in that way. And I think that's absolutely disgusting. But Bird of Mine says, You don't just quit your job and then get presents from everyone. That happens when you hand in your notice and leave like a good employee. Meaning she handed in her notice at least a couple of weeks ago and has been quietly failing to mention that fact to her husband. She's had plenty of time to think about what she's doing and decided, fuck it, I just won't tell him until it's too late. You don't do that if you care about what your partner thinks. Chain Gun Samurai says in quotes, "You'll get over it," and says, "She didn't give a fuck about you, dude. Not one single solitary fuck. The only reason she wants you back at the house is because you'll be the one paying the bills, not the arsehole." Klingons ate my cheese. What a username. Says, "I have a friend who got really into the tradwife thing because of TikTok. Then she went to a tradwife meetup and found out that most of those tradwives make a lot of money from being influencers and paid to have nannies and housekeepers so they can spend their time creating content, getting ready, filming, editing, all that. They are working and they hire help. They just don't tell their followers that. A lot of clothing, makeup, food, furniture, utensil brands pay them to use their products in their videos. More than a few bring in more money than their husbands, but make it out that they don't earn anything and their husbands pay for everything. Estee Williams, who that is, the famous blonde TikTok tradwife, is one of them. She's a housekeeper. Almost everything in her videos is sent to her by various brands to use in her videos. She makes on average about $15,000 a month. After that meetup, my friend went back to work and stopped with the tradwife lie, because the social media tradwives are working already and are selling lies. Global Monk says, "If you had agreed on this, then it wouldn't be an issue. But she lied and tried to manipulate you into this, and that's what I have a problem with. She has no respect for you whatsoever. I'm a stay-at-home mum and I have school-age kids. One is disabled and so am I, so I couldn't work if I wanted to. I think my husband resents my free time sometimes, but it's spent hooked up to pain-relieving machines. It's not like I'm sunbathing, and our situ was a joint decision. Your wife, however, is taking the piss." Consider your children though. You need to talk to them and explain to them what's going on in an age-appropriate way, as at this point you don't know what your wife has been filling their heads with. Also fill your in-laws in on the truth in case she's twisted it with them as well. Make sure you keep in close contact with your children so they know you love them and aren't abandoning them, and then divorce your wife. She's shown her true colors and how little she respects you in your marriage. Now she gets to reap the benefits. So some additional information. Someone asks about Opie about their religion, and Opie says, "Thank you, but we aren't strict Muslims. Yes, we pray, etc., but we don't follow any of the traditional gender role ideologies. My wife tends to be a bit more on the conservative and traditional side, where I'm a bit more liberal. I mean, doesn't the same apply for Christianity?" Someone says, "Go back home." Opie says, "I told my son I'll be home by tomorrow. I'll just be gone for 2 days. There had to have been red flags earlier than this." Opie says, "I mean before, this is the only red flag I saw was her constantly just ignoring me if we had a disagreement, but usually that was maybe for a max of 2 days. This was the first time she did that for a longer period of time." Someone says the crux of the issue, and Opie says the fact that she'd be home relaxing isn't the issue. It's the fact that we now have to significantly cut down on our current expenses, and I'm not even sure if my company is willing to let me work 100%. So OP comes in with an update and says, "First of all, I just want to thank you guys for the overwhelming support I've received. I've received a ton of messages, but please be patient with me. This week has definitely been tough on me. This whole drama has definitely taken a toll on me physically and mentally." Then shares the original post and continues, "I just want to add a few crucial details that I missed to mention in my original post. I suffer from a genetic heart condition that puts me at risk to stress-induced cardiac arrest. I used to work full-time but was forced to cut down on my work after suffering a silent heart attack. This was nearly a decade ago, but since then, I've worked on my own physical and mental well-being. Some people didn't understand me constantly mentioning why it was such an issue working the extra 20%. I honestly don't know how much time I have left, and my kids are the most important things in my life. For my own mental health, it's essential that I get to spend time with my kids throughout the week. Besides my wife and kids, I have nothing. I hate my fucking job and purely continue for the sake of my kids and wife." Well, after spending a day at my parents' house, eventually I felt enough time had passed for me to gather my thoughts on everything. What she did seemed like the ultimate slap in the face, but I went back with the intention to resolve this and didn't want to escalate this fucking nightmare. My wife seemed happy I returned, but wasn't apologetic at all. The kids, especially my son, were ecstatic. That sort of made me ignore the lack of remorse for the time being. That same night after putting my kids to bed, I told her we need to have a serious discussion. I told her how I felt about everything she did. The fact that she knows about my health condition and still went through with it. The fact that I set clear boundaries and she still chose to quit her job without my consent. How the fact that she told my son that I was going to abandon the family really felt like a stab in the back. How throughout all of this, she didn't even seem remorseful once. The fact that she chose her own happiness to the detriment of mine. The fact that I sacrificed so much for the family and I got repaid like this. The fact that we now as a family have to make major lifestyle changes, since a third of our family income vanished. For a split second, I saw an ounce of sadness in her eyes before she went right back to being annoyed with me. I then simply told her to lay out her half of the story. Here's a summary of what she said. She felt ignored by me constantly rejecting her proposal. She had worked long enough, and this was finally the time for her to enjoy her life as a true wife. She also said that I was being a baby about the whole spending extra time with the kids thing. That really pissed me off, and we ended up getting into a heated argument. I couldn't bear any of it anymore and just ended up sleeping in the guest room. Until yesterday, nothing changed. She constantly tried to play everything off and wanted to embrace her new role by constantly trying to have sex with me and by making me my favorite dishes. Just felt like she was trying to manipulate me again, and I wasn't having any of it. I just kept on sleeping in the guest room. Well, my birthday was yesterday, and after work my wife and kids picked me up and we ate dinner together. This was probably the first time I genuinely had a smile on my face in a week. But that smile vanished because she tried to seduce me again later that night. I rejected her, and to my surprise she had a full-on mental breakdown. I just held her as she started apologizing for what she did. She claimed she didn't understand how much she hurt me. She was sorry for making me feel like an afterthought, etc. We ended up sleeping in the same bed yesterday. I felt like things were finally moving in the right direction, and I again asked her about searching for a new job today. Instead of getting mad, she just replied with I need to think about it. Yeah, that's where things are as of today. It feels like progress is being made, but I don't know. This might just be another manipulation tactic of hers. I'll probably make a final update in a month or so. Reddit isn't doing my mental health any favors. How would you guys move forward in this situation? Could I have done something better? Is she being genuine? And to those incels who constantly bring up Islam as a way to justify her behavior, please shut the fuck up. Commenter says, if you're still questioning things at this point, respectfully take your fucking head out of your ass. OP says, I guess you're hinting at divorce. Let me make it more clear for you. In our culture, divorce is the last resort and extremely frowned upon, and especially if there are kids involved. I want to fix this. If she shows no improvement after I've tried everything, yes, then I'll go for divorce. Someone says she's not even being a good trad wife since they are supposedly meant to put their husband's needs ahead of their own, but she's definitely putting her wants ahead of your needs. It sounds like you really need couples counseling. OP says she believes my needs solely revolve around sex. That's the problem. And in a different comment, OP says she has always been like this. She fucks up or wants something from me equals trying to fuck me 24/7. A commenter says, when she came to you with her issue, what did you do to help find a solution? OP says I constantly told her she can reduce her hours if she wants. That's fine with me. Being at home 24/7 without my consent is where I draw the line. And obviously, this one isn't over for OP just yet. I had the same thoughts as OP. Is this just like another manipulation tactic when she started breaking down? Obviously, I don't know the ins and outs of it, of course, but with everything else, the pattern of manipulation that went through in this story, it certainly felt like it to me. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts. What would you do if you was OP? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Chemical Bicycle 793 and says, I'm very disappointed in my husband. My marriage has been struggling for the last year. I, 32 female, have been married to my husband, 33 male, for 6 years. Together for 8 years, and we have known each other for over 20 years. My husband is extremely accommodating. He doesn't help me with any household chores, even though we both have the same work day. He stalls until I lose patience and do it myself. This took a toll on our relationship, as it is stressful to take care of the house and my daughter alone. and also collects socks and shirts that he scatters everywhere. Now, what was the last straw? We don't have a car and we needed to go buy some things. I planned the day to do it in the morning and he would go with me. I woke up and did several tasks while he stayed on the couch. I didn't say anything because it was his day off. When we were close to leaving time, my father-in-law called and asked for a favor. He got up and said he would help him, it would be quick, and that our father-in-law would give us a ride afterwards. Okay, it wasn't our plan, but I can wait another 2 hours to go. My father-in-law is a hustler, lives off freelance work and is supported by his mother, my husband's grandmother. He never works and always takes money and never pays. It's a mess. In addition to always making inappropriate and false comments, he's a narcissist. That's why my mother-in-law divorced him. Well, 3 hours later they arrive and I get in the car. My father-in-law asks why my daughter, female 4, didn't go to school. I said that I let her miss it because it was just a play day and she asked to go shopping with me. And he simply says that I'm lazy and I didn't want to take her to school out of laziness. I'm committed to going to the gym, but I should have the same commitment to school. He was rude and accusatory, as if he was recriminating me. I felt my blood boiling in my veins. Firstly, because I do 1,000 things a day. I barely have time to rest, and secondly, because my father-in-law is the laziest person I've ever seen. He's never worked in his life. I took a deep breath and tried to control myself because I wanted to curse him. I looked at my husband waiting for him to say something to his father. Anything. He did not say anything. He didn't defend me. He didn't even try to explain anything. What did I expect? Him to fight? No, but for him to at least say, "Don't talk to my wife like that," or "That's not true." This is not the first time my husband has failed to respond to someone in his family who says something inappropriate. He says it's better to avoid a fight, or that's just how they are. Oof. And on that day, all our marital problems kept playing in my mind. I was very disappointed and I can't look at him any other way unless I dislike him. I've been fighting for my marriage, but I feel like he isn't fighting for me. And now I really want to file for divorce. I'm hurt and I'm afraid I'm overreacting because of this. And we'll start in the comments with Boring Clothes, who says, "In terms of freeloading, it sounds like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree with your husband and his father. I'd find it incredibly hard to stay attracted to and maintain respect for someone so sedentary. He doesn't express any desire to contribute towards your household, the care of your child, and is so complacent that he isn't willing to stand up for you. If everything is down to you, what would you lose without him? If he stalls until you give in and take over his share of responsibilities, what is he actually doing that you couldn't do yourself as a single parent? Or how is your situation now any different to being a single parent? If anything, the only thing you'd be missing is the constant resentment that arises when you're consistently made aware that you're in a partnership where you're giving everything and receiving nothing back. Sharing custody would, ironically, mean that you and your partner would have more equal caring responsibilities over your child than you seemingly currently do in your marriage. If you haven't expressed these issues to him and how close you are to calling it quits, now is the time to share. If you've already tried to no avail, then maybe it's time to start thinking about the logistics of ending your marriage." I think that comment pretty much summed it up, really. That this resentment is building, and you're at the point where it's spilling over now, and he needs to know this is it. That you are going if things don't change. If you're even willing to go down that path anymore. Opie also said that the husband was accommodating at the start. I assume they meant not accommodating. But Opie comes in with an update and says, "A few weeks ago I made a post about my marriage. Well, this is an update. I'm going to file for divorce. Since I wrote here, many things have happened, but long story short, I told my husband it wasn't working for me anymore. I asked for time to put things in order. He didn't respect my space. In a few days he got sick and ended up staying at home. He was at my father-in-law's house, and he was sleeping on the couch. He asked us to go to individual and couples therapy, and he said he didn't want to lose me. Well, a few days ago, my brother-in-law came to visit me, and they were talking about our marriage. I'm not proud to say this, but I overheard part of the conversation. My husband said he was trying to get back to being intimate, and that he intended to get me pregnant, knowing that with another child, I would never leave him. My brother-in-law laughed and said, "We'd have to pierce more condoms for this. I don't take birth control at the moment, and we're using condoms as contraception. I'm so angry that I've barely been able to look at him the last few days. I've been avoiding him, and honestly, there's no more time to fix our marriage. How could he be capable of something like this? I feel deceived and manipulated in ways I can barely explain. He still doesn't know that I heard, and he doesn't know that I'm going to file for divorce. Gee fucking whiz, that is terrifying. Get yourself out of that situation. Oh my word. Don't let that dude near you. Grandma's Villa says, read your original post and think you are doing the right thing to divorce your husband. Don't tell him anything till you're ready to serve him the paper. Make sure not to get intimate just in case. He and his family seem to have no hope of changing in the future, so get out ASAP and live your life. Focus on yourself and your child and start planning for a new life without the dead weight on your back. You're going to be a good role model for your daughter for her future. Wish you all the best. Careless Banana says your husband agreed with the idea to sexually assault you to keep you in the marriage. Avoid intercourse if possible. Keep your plan close to your chest until you're ready to serve. Tell someone you trust if you're able of your plan in case you need support. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, our next story comes from Severe Plan 3845 and says, would I be the arsehole here for telling my husband his bio child was conceived to entrap him? I, 27 female, married my now husband, 32 male, last year. This is the second marriage for both of us, and we are annoyingly happy together and have a blended family with 3 amazing kids. I and my bio kids temporarily moved into my husband's house that he had bought with his ex-wife. He won it in the divorce as she had no interest in it, until we can find a bigger house to buy together. My husband is neurodivergent and just doesn't see certain things and has a difficulty deep cleaning. No problem, I love organizing and cleaning, so I got this. However, while cleaning out the closets and garage, I discovered that his ex left many of her personal belongings behind when she moved out, 1 year before I met my husband. I am not the other woman. This included old family pictures, papers, family mementos, heirlooms, etc. At first we would send these things with her when she picked up my stepdaughter for her custody weekends, but she finally told us she wasn't interested in receiving any more of her old things and asked us to just donate or throw anything else no matter what. Okay, fine. After this, I found a box full of old college books and notebooks stashed in a crawl space. Yeah, I was feeling nosy and resentful for having to continue to clean up her mess. So I flipped through one of the notebooks I found. Inside was a journal entry dated 7 months before the birth of my stepdaughter, detailing that she got pregnant when she purposefully went off her birth control without telling my husband because their relationship was going down the drain, and she loved him and didn't want to lose him. So in, finally, conclusion, I've kept this knowledge from him so far because I don't want to cause him pain, because I decided to be nosy. However, I'm on the fence because this feels huge. She was very emotionally abusive towards him and constantly cheated on him during their entire marriage, but would use him getting her pregnant as the reason why she was with him, and he needed to support her and take her back no matter what. My brain is so muddled right now. So Reddit, would I be the arsehole here for telling him about what I discovered? P.S. in case anyone is wondering, my stepdaughter is an adorable carbon copy of her dad in feminine form. It's uncanny actually, so there isn't any doubt about paternity here. Edit for some more clarity since people are mean. My only motive for telling him would be to try to alleviate some of his guilt around him being told by his ex that he was at fault for the pregnancy, which his ex used as an excuse to abuse and manipulate him. I have a lot of folks commenting on here about my stepdaughter somehow finding out if I told him and what damage that would do. But I can say with complete confidence that neither of us would ever tell her. She is absolutely innocent in all of this, and telling her would accomplish nothing but harm. I have no interest in hurting or harming anyone else involved here, not even his abusive ex. We are not in competition. This knowledge isn't something I'm trying to weaponize against her because I am insecure. I am not. Now for me, you're not trying to weaponize it like you said. It doesn't sound like you're resentful. You're just trying to do good by your husband. You've got his best interests at heart. And, I think this is a discussion that needs to be had. I think he deserves to know this, especially if it's been thrown in his face and used against him in different scenarios. It might bring him some peace with that. Smarter than the average bear, great name, Hey there, boo-boo. Truly amazing that most Redditors will unequivocally go scorched earth on liars and cheaters, but believe OP should just destroy this diary. The ex made a unilateral decision to go off birth control and deliberately got pregnant. At a minimum, the husband deserves to know this. A lie by omission is still a lie. Will the information hurt her husband? Probably. When and how to share the information is important. OP is not obligated to cover for the ex, but should be protective of her husband. Not the arsehole here, but plan this carefully. Don't blurt it out in anger. Also, the child doesn't need to know. Noise23 says, unpopular opinion. The truth is the truth. I think OP's husband needs to be clear about the kind of person his ex is, but I would wait a good time to tell him. Boeing says, if it comes out later that you knew, but kept this knowledge from him, or even just delayed this knowledge, this is a marriage-destroying event right here. Show him the notebook. Pick a quiet moment in which to do it, but don't delay. And Red Hoodie says, depends on what kind of person your new hubby is. I see a lot of people saying it's going to cause unnecessary problems, but most people are don't rock the boat chicken shits. If your husband is the type of person that wants a comfortable lie or to ignore the truth about people, keep it a secret. But most neurodivergent people I know would rather have the painful truth. Not only that, but by knowing this and not telling him, you are now keeping your own secret from him. If you start off a relationship with the idea that you are going to protect someone from pain, the relationship is doomed. Life is pain. Relationships are about supporting and comforting your partner during painful times. What happens if he finds out later on his own? Will you reply, oh, I found out and knew about it and never told you? Or will there be another lie about how shocked you are and had no clue? What you should be concerned with is your relationship solid enough to deal with bad news, or is your relationship based on hiding from the negative sides of people and walking on eggshells? OP says I'm also neurodivergent, and the truth, transparency, and straightforwardness is incredibly important to me personally. But I also realize that my perspective may be skewed because of the neurodivergence factor. This is why I came to Reddit for some outside perspective. And I was thinking along those lines at the same time as well, that the truth is very likely to come out one day in some shape or form, and if husband was to discover that you knew about this and never told him, that could be potentially devastating. But OP comes in with her update 10 days later and says, I told him. I brought the journal down and let him know that I found something while cleaning that I feel he needed to know about. I was honest with him and told him how I discovered this information, and he was really understanding. He told me he was sorry he put me in the situation of having to clean out his ex's stuff. I assured him that I agreed to do this, and it isn't his fault that I found what I did. He was emotional after reading the entry, but thanked me for sharing it with him. We both agreed that this would stay between us. We would never share it with his daughter, and would not confront the ex about it unless stuff becomes absolutely dire. Her trying to weaponize her lie to gain something from him again. We took photos of the journal entry and saved them in a locked file on his drive. We tossed the physical copy of the journal so there would never be a chance that one of the kids could dig it up while poking around. We talked a long time about his feelings around the issue, and he told me, what I already knew in my heart, that this information is painful, but does not change the way he sees his daughter and does not change his love for her. No matter how or why she was conceived, she is here and she is adored by us. He's been talking this through with his therapist and seems really peaceful around the whole situation. If anything, I've seen him become even more tender towards his daughter. Now there isn't the fog of guilt surrounding his fatherhood. A million thanks to everyone who helped bring clarity to my decision. To all the rude people and the obvious cheaters who felt triggered by my original post, go to therapy. It might help you unpack some important stuff about yourself. Couple of comments. First, Alfalfa says, it's fantastic that you told him. I think it was important information that he needed to know. Xanath says, considering the piece of work his ex is, you two should come up with a plan on how to handle it if his ex reveals their daughter was a pawn. The three of you knowing it and hiding it will likely cause a lot of feelings of betrayal. I'm not saying you should tell her. That's a lot of emotional baggage to put on her unfairly, but you need to be ready for the conversation if it happens one day. Opie says, we have already started to have conversations surrounding this scenario. Well, I hope her bio mum would never be that much of a monster. You never know. So we've been talking over things. If nobody says anything, I don't see any reason for her to know. She is loved by so many people and is such a wonderful kiddo. It doesn't matter the reason she came into being, because we are all just so glad she is here. A lovely stepmom in this story with a pretty wholesome in some ways update. They sound like a wonderful couple who's got their daughter's best interests at heart. And I think they handled it in the best way possible for them. But what do you guys make of this situation? How would you have dealt with it if it was you? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from James J95 and says, apparently my 20 male girlfriend, 21 female, of 1 year, told her friends explicit stuff about our sexual life, including the fact that I was a virgin when we started dating, and joked about it. I feel really hurt personally. I'm not sure if I'm right to be. This all started last Friday night. One of my girlfriend's closest friends had come home from a trip abroad, so they were all going out to celebrate. Originally they were planning a party or something, but then they decided to go out to a restaurant together and then go back to one of the friends' houses and watch movies or whatever shit they do. I don't know. Basically, it was meant to be a girls' night out, and there was 12 of them, I think. My older sister, who is a close friend of my girlfriend and part of her inner circle friendship group, was going along with them. It sounded like they were going to have fun, and I wished them the best. Well, since my girlfriend was going and my sister was going, my girlfriend was at my house beforehand, and my sister drove her to the restaurant where they were all meeting up. My sister was going to drop her off at home afterwards, and then come back to our home. We both live with our parents. At least that was the plan. They headed off around 6 PM, and I wasn't really expecting sis back until like 12 PM or 1 AM or something, if she didn't end up sleeping over there. Instead, she came back on her own at around 9:30 to 10, and she seemed really angry and in a horrible mood. We asked her what happened. She said she was just really tired and not in the mood. I asked her if she had dropped my girlfriend off at her place. She said no, she can take a taxi. It was really weird because she seemed visibly angry, and I know my sister. She's not the sort of person to easily get angry. She was like even slamming doors and shit. The next day she was in a bit of a better mood, but still kind of angry. I prodded and asked what the matter was. She refused to talk about it. She said it was nothing. She said she'd just been a bit tired the night before, maybe feeling unwell. Next day, on Sunday, she opened up. She said, look, something happened the other day when I was out with your girlfriend and her friends. I said, aha, I knew it. She said, you're not going to like what you're going to hear, but you need to hear it anyway. My mind was like, oh shit, is she cheating? That was the first thought that came to my head. She proceeded to tell me about the entire night, how they had gone to the restaurant, all had plenty of fun, gone back home. Apparently they started watching a movie but didn't like it, so they didn't finish it, and they couldn't decide on what other movie to watch, so they started drinking and gossiping. Started gossiping about past and current boyfriends, relationship, sex. Sis said your girlfriend may be drunk a bit too much and started revealing too much information about you, stuff she shouldn't have. I said, what sort of stuff? She said, you don't want to know. I said, you can't just start telling me that and then cut me off without telling me what she said. What did she say? Sister said, I really didn't want to talk about this, but you want to know and you probably have a right to. And she proceeded to tell me the stuff my semi-drunken girlfriend had said about me. Apparently she was making jokes about how when we first started dating I was a virgin and had no knowledge or experience of sex, and she was mocking my inexperience and lame attempts. My girlfriend also apparently made fun of the shape of my penis. There's a weird thing where it bends to the side. I've never really felt self-conscious about it because I thought it was the sort of thing that most girls wouldn't care about, and my girlfriend never mentioned it. But now I feel incredibly self-conscious, and apparently I ejaculate too quickly and make weird sounds when I do. I was like, what the fuck? Why is she even talking about this? How drunk was she? Apparently not even that drunk. Like she had a few drinks but not that many. I told my sister, why did you have to tell me all this? I wish you hadn't, now I just feel hurt. She said, I felt you have a right to know your girlfriend is saying this stuff. I just couldn't stand being in the same room as her when she was saying it all. That is why I was so angry and left early. She seemed to feel better having gotten that off her chest, but I couldn't understand why she was so angry about it. My girlfriend had been saying all that stuff about me and revealing all those private details about me. And sure, I was hurt by it, but I had no idea why she had gotten so angry from all of it. It made no sense. Someone explain this. I feel hurt, honestly, kind of dismayed. Like I feel like all this stuff my girlfriend never brought up with me. She just jokes about it in front of other people. Is it right for me to be upset about this? Is it right for me to be hurt, or am I overreacting? Was it fair for her to talk about all that stuff in front of the other girls, even if they were all gossiping? Should I bring this up with her and tell her that it really hurts me? What if she tells me to just get over it, or I should just forget about it and move on, because it's no big deal, even though I feel it's a big deal to me? Am I being too sensitive? Now first, I find it weird the girlfriend in itself talking about the whole situation in general, but talk in front of OP's sister at the same time? The fuck? I don't blame the sister for telling you in this situation. It's like this last story that we read. If the truth comes out further down the line and she knew about this, how are you going to feel then about your sister? That she held this secret about, your girlfriend talking behind your back about you, body shaming you for one. Your sister is pissed off on your behalf, and I can't blame you. I'm trying to put myself like, if I found anyone talking about one of my family members like that as well, I'd be pissed off. And I'm not sure if I'm overreacting in this situation or not, but that's a deal breaker for me. If I found out that, things would be over. She thinks it's funny to take the piss behind your back. Fuck that. Strayon says your sister got upset because she cares about you, and it hurt her to see your girlfriend making fun of you behind your back. Yes, you're absolutely right to feel hurt and betrayed by this. You should talk to your girlfriend about it, and how she responds will tell you how to proceed. If she's remorseful and apologetic, you may be able to work past this. If she tells you to get over it, that it's not a big deal or anything like that, it means she doesn't respect you and you should break up. Half a dozen cat says makes complete sense to me. Somebody was shit talking her brother right in front of her, and that somebody was his girlfriend. I'd be more concerned with why your girlfriend thought airing all of this in front of her boyfriend's sister was smart. Buy her some car keys because she sounds hideous. One more comment who says, first, you should give your sister a big hug. She cares about you a lot and had your back. That's why she was so upset. Then you need to confront your girlfriend about disrespecting you in front of all of her friends. That was all very personal and she had no business airing it in public. Quite frankly, you'll be well within your right to break up with her for this, because not only has she hurt you, she's now giving you the reason to not trust her anymore. It's up to you, OP, but you need to confront her. The OP comes in with her update and says it's been a really eventful week. It's had its ups and downs, a bit chaotic at times, but now things have settled. I finally have time to write this update in full. Some of you were really supportive in the last one, some of you a bit less, but that's okay. I appreciate all your advice. Hope this update can clear things up. After I found out from my sister what my girlfriend had said, I was feeling pretty down. I felt quite a blow to my perception of myself. Like all this time, my girlfriend had held me in a lower esteem than I thought she had. Did she look down at me because I was a virgin? Did she really think I was that bad when we were together in bed, that she thought it was worth making fun of me to her friends, or is this just something all girls do? I hope not. I was feeling pretty self-conscious about my penis as well. I never thought it was abnormal. I thought the slight bend was just a feature. I didn't know it's something a girl would ever be disturbed by. I didn't even know how normal it was. I haven't seen that many. Embarrassing to say, but I looked up a few pictures of penises on Google and Googling whether there was anything wrong with me or if it's an abnormal medical condition. I eventually realized I was overreacting about the whole thing, but still, my self-esteem did take a momentary blow. I realized I had to confront my girlfriend about it. The more I just thought about it, the more I intensely scrutinized myself and scrutinized my actions and behavior. The more I began to doubt my own opinion of myself. Was I overreacting? Maybe, probably, but I had opened up myself to my girlfriend in a way I'd done to nobody else before. I had trusted her by letting her be the first person I'd ever slept with. I felt hurt and betrayed that she'd mouth off my initial lack of sexual capabilities to her friends. I mean, everyone sucks at sex first off, right? Surely it's not just me. And even if I did, she never mentioned it. I'd rather be able to improve than just remain a joke for her to mock with her friends. I obviously care for her very much. I wish she'd open up about these things to me and not to others. I was feeling really depressed and doubtless of myself, needless to say. My first instinct was to wrongfully shoot the messenger. I started harassing my sister with questions about what exactly my girlfriend had said. She didn't want to tell me, but I told her I needed to know exactly what it was because I was planning to confront her about it. My sister was uncomfortable by the whole thing, but I pressed, and she repeated everything she had previously told me about what my girlfriend had said. I'd asked my sister if it was okay with her if when confronting my girlfriend about it. I told my girlfriend that she was the one who had told me. My sister sighed and relented, figuring that the girlfriend would probably assume as much anyway. I asked her, "Are you sure it's right for me to confront her about this?" Sister said yes, if you feel that's what you need to do. But promise you won't stay with her just because she's your first or you feel obligated to. I've seen you hurt all day because of what she said, and I don't think she deserves you back. And then I started lashing out at my sister. I got quite angry. I got mad at her for telling me, saying I would have been better off if she hadn't told me. My sister said sorry at first and left it at that. I kept going at it, harassing her about it and blaming it on her. She just stayed silent and visibly frustrated, eventually storming upstairs to her bedroom. I followed her up and kept pestering her about it. Why did you have to tell me? Why did you even think I needed to know something like that? I definitely pushed too far. She opened the door and shouted back at me something along the lines of, "Oh, I don't know, maybe because I love you. Did you consider that, you fucking idiot? Fuck me for trying to look out for you when she clearly has no respect for you. But no, go running to her. She's exactly what you deserve." She called me a fucking idiot numerous times and slammed the door in my face. I tried to knock on the door and open it, but she had locked the door and was playing really loud music from within. She didn't come out of her bedroom for the rest of the day, and I was feeling really bad. I felt guilty and atrocious for lashing out at her like that. I know I was 100% in the wrong. I know you're going to slice me up in the comments section for that, and go ahead, I deserve it. I was an idiot and a terrible person for attacking the one person who had my back in all of this. I wasn't thinking straight, and I'd clearly hurt the person closest to me. I decided to confront my girlfriend about this. I called her the next day and she seemed in a good mood, happy to hear me. She said I hadn't called in a while and she'd been waiting for me to call. We met up, went for lunch, and I kept waiting for the right time to bring it up, but I couldn't. She asked if she could stay at my place for the afternoon before heading back home. I said sure. Apparently her parents were having some people over that afternoon and she didn't want to be around. We were sitting at home and I decided to finally bring up the thing. My sister was upstairs in her bedroom listening to music, quite loudly, and I figured she wouldn't come down or anything. I said to my girlfriend, "Look, I don't know how to bring this up, but there's something that's really been bothering me. Some stuff that you apparently said about me." I proceeded to tell her about the stuff she'd apparently said to her friends. Her response was, "That's it. I could tell something's been bothering you. Is that really it?" She then proceeded to dismiss it, saying she couldn't believe I was worked up about that. I told her that she knows I care deeply about what she has to say about me, and I was really hurt by all the stuff she said. I think an apology is in order. She said, "Fine, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that." She said she wouldn't do it again, and she didn't know that it would affect me so much. But then she started brushing it off again, saying it was a silly thing to be upset about, that girls talk about all that sort of stuff with each other and tease their boyfriends behind their back all the time. It's just being playful. I told her that it was really hurtful to me. She did a sarcastic "oh" face and seemed to be laughing at the whole thing. Then she asked me how I knew about it anyway. I said, well, sometimes when you say stuff about someone in front of other people, it can likely get back to them. Her instant response was, "It was my sister's name, wasn't it?" I said, well, maybe you should have thought about that before talking about someone in front of their sister. She said, "I knew it, that bitch. I hate having her around anyway. She always acts like she's so moral and better than everyone." I told her, "Hey, that's my sister, don't talk about her that way." She proceeded to go on complaining about my sister, twisting the whole situation to blame it on her, saying that none of this would have happened and I would have never found out about it if my sister hadn't told me. I told her my sister was just looking out for me and she shouldn't hold any blame. She said, "Do you really believe that? Your sister always tries to pretend she's so moral, but she loves to create drama. She enjoys stirring the pot. Why else do you think she told you?" I told her that's not true. My sister just cared about my feelings. She should stop blaming her. Girlfriend's response, "If she cared about your feelings, she wouldn't have told you." Then the girlfriend started asking if my sister was around at home. I said she was upstairs in her room, but now was probably not a good time to bring this up with her. So my girlfriend and I stayed in the living room. Eventually my sister came downstairs. While she was coming downstairs, she was calling my name, saying there was something important she needed to talk to me about. Then she saw me and my girlfriend were sitting together. She said, "Oh, I didn't know you were here." There was an extremely cold silence between them. Then there was a bit of chit chat, but it was very awkward. Then my girlfriend opened up. "What do you think gives you the right to interfere in the relationship between me and my boyfriend?" My sister was stunned. She just stared back and didn't answer. Girlfriend said, "Don't act like you don't know what you did. I know you always enjoy stirring the pot." She started telling her that she couldn't trust her as a friend and started accusing my sister of being a horrible friend, and she shouldn't even go to the girls' nights if she couldn't keep her mouth shut. I had to intervene. I said that's enough, but she didn't stop. It broke out into an open argument between the two of them. I kept trying to calm them down. It was mostly just the girlfriend relentlessly attacking my sister. My sister's eyes swelled up with tears and she just turned to me and says, "Why didn't you stand up for me? She's a fucking bitch. Can't you even hear what she's saying? Why are you even with her?" At that point, the girlfriend said she couldn't take it anymore and had to leave. Before she left, I said I need to speak with her. At that point, I broke up with her. I didn't really give a reason. I just said I felt things weren't really working out and it's better for everyone if we end our relationship. She was really hurt and didn't seem to understand why. I told her because of everything that happened recently, we should stop seeing each other. Plus the enmity between her and my sister. I didn't think I could be with her after that. She was incredibly upset, but she seemed to understand. My girlfriend said, "Maybe we can still be friends?" I said maybe. We'll see, but we just need some time apart now. We hugged and kissed one last time, said goodbye, and she went on her way. My sister had disappeared. I figured she was back in her bedroom. I went upstairs and she was just sitting on her bed listening to music, staring at the ground. I sat beside her and tried to comfort her. I told her I'm sorry for everything. I told her how sorry I was for lashing out at her earlier, but trying to blame things on her. I basically told her I was incredibly sorry for everything that had happened. I was sorry for my girlfriend's behavior towards her just then. She said that my girlfriend was right, that she's an idiot who always sticks her nose in everything trying to make things better, but she should have just kept her mouth shut. I told her that she had done the right thing, that I knew she was just looking out for me like any brother or sister would. I told her I'd broken up with my girlfriend just minutes earlier. She says she thought I did the right thing. I said I was sorry she had to endure all that and gave her a hug, asking her if there's anything that I could do to thank her. She told me she just wanted to see me smile more often. The next few days she seemed kind of depressed and dreary, not leaving the house much. She tried to put on a brave face and smile when she can, but I knew something was up. On Friday afternoon I noticed she was sitting at home eating chips and watching cartoons on TV in old dirty clothes. It looked like she hadn't showered in a while and her hair was dirty. I asked her what was up and she said nothing. I told her I thought she was going out again with her friends on Friday to a restaurant, i.e. a girls' night, like she had the previous week. She said, "Not anymore." I said why not? She responded that her friends had officially disinvited her. My reaction was, that's horrible. How can friends do that? She said she didn't think they were her friends anymore. All of the girls she had gone with last week had stopped responding to her and were ignoring her. Some of them had deleted her on social media and were basically all giving her the cold shoulder. Apparently they really hated the fact that she had ruined the gossip of their girls' night, and basically all the girls in that social group followed my girlfriend's lead. So when my girlfriend cut my sister out of her life, they followed suit and did the same. I was shocked. I couldn't believe that so-called friends would do such a thing to someone, just completely defriend them from life over one incident. She just shrugged and didn't seem to care. I lamented over the fact that all of this had happened to her just because she chose to stick up for me and tell me the things that my girlfriend had been saying about me. My sister just shrugged in response. I told her I'm sorry, and I felt this was partially my fault. I said I don't understand how she can still have no regret having told me all this. She said, "Why would I regret it? I don't care about them. You mean more to me. I'll find other friends after all." I told her that is an incredibly nice thing to say and hugged her. I sat down and asked her what she was watching, but she didn't seem very interested in it. She said she had a lot of fun with them last time and she felt kind of sad that they were all having fun without her while she was stuck at home like a loser. Friday nights were a sort of thing for her and the girls, and they'd regularly go out. So it's understandable she'd feel upset. She no longer had that and she'd lost a bunch of friends. I asked her what restaurant they were going to. She told me they normally went to the same one each week. Apparently it was a really fancy place. I said screw it, she doesn't have to stay at home. I'll take her to somewhere even better. At first she thought I was kidding, but I told her I was serious. We got dressed and I drove us to this new place that I haven't been to before. It was expensive as fuck. I spent over $200 on the two of us, but it was worth it and we had a good time. The food was excellent. At least she wasn't feeling so down afterwards. I still feel terrible over the way I initially handled it. I feel ashamed over my initial misdirected anger and how I was rude and careless. Honestly, I feel much better off after having broken up with a girlfriend. I was expecting I'd have a period right afterwards where I'd feel down and regretful about it. But the more days that go by, the more sure I am I made the right decision. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? How would you have dealt with that if it was you? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, our next story comes from Lucky Strike 222 from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit and says, my family wants to hide my heterochromia for my sister's wedding. My 21 male sister, 32 female, is getting married and they want me to sing at her wedding, but also wear contacts to hide my heterochromia. I have 2 different colored eyes. I'm Asian and my family thinks that my heterochromia will never be socially accepted / always looked down upon and may even be perceived as some kind of illness or a disability, and they don't want the new in-laws to perceive any flaws about us and our family. I live abroad, so I don't see my family often. Every time I visit, I get urged to go out in public, at events, to see family, wearing contacts. Spring every year, when the wedding is, we have really bad yellow dust, and wearing the contacts is going to be a pain. I have good vision, so contacts are not part of my life at all, except to hide my colored eye. My mum has always been image orientated, grooming my sister and I our whole lives and being hypercritical about our looks. My only flaw is my eye condition. My sister's flaw was her nose, and my mum bullied her into surgery for a small bump no one would have said anything bad about. Should I just suck it up and wear the contacts for that day? Maybe I'm picking the wrong time to retaliate. When is it the right time? Edits, I can't keep up with the comments, so I will write here, and hope you see it. I have complete heterochromia, brown and blue. As I mentioned in my post, I live abroad. I grew up and went to school outside my home country from a young age, where I never hide my condition. The older I get, the more I receive a lot of compliments for it in the US and Europe. I've been told it suits my demeanor and personality, which is on the quieter side. I've been scouted a few times for modeling, but in all honesty, I'm not that good at it. In my home country, most people have the same eye color, more homogeneous society. And while enhancing your eye color is popular, it still tends to lean very natural looking. I was raised to hide my eye color from a young age there, so admittedly it's been hard to move away from that because I got so used to wearing contacts every time I visit. I'm not a shy person, but I'm an introvert, and not having attention on me when I don't want it has always been a personal incentive to comply. I've gone without contacts in my home country on a few occasions. The responses have been mixed. There have been some comments from older people, like a comment which OP links, which are in alignment with my mum's fears. But when it comes to younger people, the reactions are often positive. Not always though. Lol. Some people know what heterochromia is and clock it. I also have been told I come across intimidating to approach in general, even in contact, so most of the time no one will say anything to my face. They will just steal glances and whisper to each other. When people do end up talking to me, they say things like, but then I talked to you and you were kind. You have a calm energy. Your eyes are really cool / beautiful. I am aware many people find my eyes attractive, but my mum is an older woman who has been conditioned by her own upbringing. Her worries are things like, my heterochromia will hold me back from success, jobs, opportunities, etc. in the country she grew up in, which holds some truth and is the reality there. I shared here a little bit about her perspective. Please keep in mind that this post is about my personal experience. I'm not trying to speak for all the Asians of the world. My family is conservative, the social circle is too. This post is mainly situational, about my sister's wedding. On that note, I think it's likely going to come down to me wearing contacts for my sister, just to keep things civil and out of respect for her. I'm not going to do it for my mum or grandmother or anyone else, but for my sister, so as to not add to her stress. However, I will be doing this on the condition that I will not be wearing any contacts on visits moving forward. I'm sure once I share my feelings, my sister will understand and back me up on that. I might even show her this page. Thank you all for your positive comments, for reading this. I'm not good at writing and sharing your opinion. To the optometrists and ophthalmologists, I saw some of your comments. I'll do the right thing. But a few people who saw my slip up in my main Reddit on accident, I appreciate you complimenting me, but please stop doxing me in the comments. I've asked some people to redact. Now, I know this is very easy for me to say, but don't be wearing those contacts. Go as yourself. Be yourself. And I would maybe talk to your sister about this to bring comfort to yourself, to get it from her that, you come as yourself. They want you to sing at this wedding. You come as yourself. And I would really hope that your sister would agree with you and you do exactly that. Be you. But Mirrored Garage Wall says, nope, your eyes are gorgeous. Wear them with pride, or go malicious compliance and wear full black sclera contacts? Sclera? Oh my word, I just googled it. They're terrifying. Life Significance says, don't wear them. You'll be setting a standard they will expect you to keep up all the time if you do. Family can be critical, and it's easy to do as they say for approval. But you are unique. The heterochromia eyes are beautiful. Never let anyone, even family, make you think otherwise. Go with pride. Opie says, this is one of the reasons I feel like not wearing them. It's a good opportunity to make everyone see my eyes. Even some family who previously had no idea about my condition. But on the other hand, I feel bad I'm using my older sister's wedding to do that. I don't want to cause drama at her wedding or take away from her moment in any way. That holds me back. Life Significance says, have you tried talking to her about the situation? Maybe asking her if she'd be okay with you doing that could ease some discomfort. Absolutely. Opie says, I've talked to her. She is feeling her own pressure during the wedding and wants everything perfect. My dad passed away at the end of last year, so there's an added intensity to everything. I didn't share my feelings, I just asked if I could go without contacts, and she asked if I would please wear them to avoid issues with our mum adding to her plate. My sister and I have a good relationship. I'd do it for her, but I'm thinking maybe I need to have a deeper conversation. Maybe she doesn't know how I feel about it. So OP came in with an update and said I got some DMs requesting an update. I didn't reply to anyone because the wedding hadn't happened yet and there was nothing to say. Since I already answered questions in my original post, I will do a simple update here and not answer any more questions. Lol. If you have a really burning question you can ask it, but I don't check Reddit often. I had a long conversation with my sister. We had to do it over FaceTime because I was still abroad, but in a way it was better. She understands and was genuinely feeling bad about having to request this from me, but we both decided it's not the time to defy the family. I put my personal frustration aside, and after making the first post I began to feel that I was being selfish. I think most people didn't want me to make the decision I did. I'm sorry. My sister was prepared to let me participate in her wedding without any contacts, but I decided to wear them because it's her wedding day. I wore contacts. Yellow dust was yellow dusting, lol, but most of the wedding was indoor, so it was tolerable. I didn't do the malicious compliance guys, so no Halloween demon contact lenses. The optometrists and eye surgeons on the original post convinced me it's not worth the risk. I already hate putting in contacts. After the wedding, I took the contacts out. Mum wasn't happy, and I haven't been wearing them here during my visit. After the first few encounters about it with family and relatives, it's mostly okay with me now. It's a little bit exhausting having the same conversations and hearing the same responses. I think I might need therapy or something for some of the feelings I have, and issues with my mum have been created now because of my choice. But thanks for helping me get over the hardest part. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story, which comes from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit from Tequila Shots at Work. This one's going. That says, am I the arsehole for ordering tequila shots for my work colleagues at Friday lunchtime? I, 26 male, work in a busy lab, medical diagnostics, and every Friday we go as a team, 6 to 7 people, to a local sports bar to have a team building lunch on the boss's company card. Yesterday our boss was swamped with deadlines, but said the rest of us could go anyway, as long as we paid for any alcoholic drinks ourselves. Usually the boss plus 1 to 2 other people will order a small beer with their lunch, so I have consumed alcohol on the clock before in this job. I was even thinking that without the boss there, that I might order a big beer this time. When we have arrived though, me and my work bro, 25 male, were drawn to a new offer the bar had on tequila shots, 5 for $10. In our defense, we had just had a very stressful morning, so we proposed to the team that we buy a single round of shots to commemorate it. A couple of our colleagues were a little reluctant, but after a little convincing, we were soon toasting to a morning of hard work. That's when my work bro proposed we order a second round of shots. I have a pretty high tolerance to alcohol, so it was no problem with me. I knew for a fact that we have a couple of lightweight colleagues, for example, a lady who rarely drinks, 23 female, but we still managed to convince the rest of the table to drink with us a second time. After that, the 2 females with us tapped out, but the 3 remaining guys, myself included, decided to split 10 further tequila shots. In our defense, as far as team building goes, the outing was a roaring success. I think I learned more about my colleagues in those 1.5 hours than I have in the last 2 years. Unfortunately, when we got back to the office, our boss could smell the tequila on my breath. My work bro very stupidly decided to be honest and told him that some of us had had 5+ shots of alcohol at lunch. My boss's face turned bright fucking red and he told us all to go home immediately and that it wasn't safe for us to be working in a lab while inebriated. I calmly explained to him that I in fact still felt very sober. I have a very high tolerance, remember. But he wasn't having it. I'm genuinely worried what's going to happen on Monday morning. The 2 female colleagues called me and my work bro assholes for taking it too far and getting everyone in trouble. I see their point of view, but on the other hand, we did have a really good time while at the bar. Help us out, Reddit. Who is the arsehole here? And in the comments, Omraid says, "You're the arsehole. I'm pretty sure being inebriated while working in a medical diagnostic lab is a felony. You should be thankful you weren't fired." I wouldn't count that you're going to get fired just yet. I think boss being pissed off and sending them all home isn't going to end well. But Pineboxing says, "You're the arsehole. 5 shots over 1.5 hours and returning to work in a medical lab. Frat days are over, bro." Multiverse replies that saying, "God, I can't even imagine wanting to take 5 shots fully knowing I had to go back to the office. I would have been absolutely sloshed taking 5 shots in general, even if it was on a weekend night out with friends." Commenters, you're not listening. He said he had a high tolerance. Sarcasm, guys. That's sarcasm. Resting Beauty Face says, "You're the arsehole, and the way you describe your other co-workers is gross. Females, diminutive Asian, and work bro. You need to grow up." Fake Mona Lisa says in quotes, "A couple of our colleagues were a little reluctant, but after a little convincing," and then says, "You're the arsehole. If someone tells you no, accept the no and move on. And seek help for your alcoholism. Taking 5 shots in 1.5 hours is not the behavior of someone with a healthy relationship of alcohol." Final comment which says, "Everyone sucks here except your boss. You, however, need to take a look deep at your relationship with alcohol if you think 5 shots of tequila is no big deal. You need to look deep at your career if you think that drinking at lunch wouldn't potentially cause real problems. You work in a lab. You're part of a process where medical information is gathered and resulted. Even a slight error in your part could have resulted in a real person getting the wrong amount of a medication. Healthcare is a higher responsibility. Know that or get out of the field." The OP came in with their update and says, "Well, I'm sure a lot of you will be happy to know that me and my out of work bro got fired this morning. HR asked us why exactly we thought we could drink 6 tequila shots and then go back to the lab. All we could think of was that in college we used to work hard and play hard and it didn't affect our grades. They didn't like that excuse. Anyway, we were offered a plea bargain. HR accepted our resignations and promised a passing but not glowing reference for our future employers, on the condition we don't mention what happened to anyone ever again. I want to thank all those that commented on the original thread. I know except that me and my work bro made a grievous error of judgment. We're not alcoholics, as some people suggested, but we're not in college anymore either. Personally, I'll be laying off the hard liquor for a while to focus on rebuilding my career in medical diagnostics. And if in the future someone offers me a shot while I'm on the clock, I will say no thank you." Imagine being in an office, sat down with HR, and they ask you, "Why did you think this was a good idea?" Instead of saying, I really just messed up. All I can do is apologize for what I did. You went with, work hard, play hard. Oh man. Deary me. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from a deleted user. Doesn't have an update as yet, but it's titled, "Am I the arsehole for ignoring my husband during our flight when he expressed anxiety over flying?" I, 33 female, recently married my husband, 30 male, and we took a 3-hour flight to Mexico for our honeymoon. I fly a lot for my job, so I've racked up a lot of miles. My husband isn't a big fan of flying, though he has gotten better and tends to just hold my hand and close his eyes during takeoff and landing. Mostly okay when in the air. When I booked our flights, I requested to use my points if an upgrade to business class became available, but made it clear I only wanted this upgrade if 2 seats became available and then basically forgot about it. Then comes the day of our flight. I was so excited for this trip. I checked this in online, all is going well. And then when we go to board, the person scanning our boarding passes stops us. She says it seems that my husband was upgraded to business class, but only him, and asks if that is okay. I immediately say no. We're on our honeymoon and we'd like to stay together. But then my husband jumps in and says, no, it's fine, I'll go to the business class. I look at him in complete shock, and he tells me that I fly all the time and I've been in business class before, but he hasn't. So he deserves a chance to experience it. I see we're holding up the line, so I feel like I just need to agree and get on the plane. To say I'm pissed off is an understatement. He's all smiles, taking his seat, and I go back to my seat where they sit me next to an old woman with a baby on her lap, where my husband should be sitting. Within maybe 5 to 10 minutes of sitting there, trying to hold back tears because my husband left me alone on our flight during our honeymoon, and uses my points for his upgrade no less, he starts to text me saying he feels anxiety over flying. I ignore the text and stop looking at my phone. Within maybe an hour after we're in the air, he comes to the back of the plane to find me, offers me half of his business class breakfast, and asks me why I was ignoring him. That he was scared and needed me to tell him it'd be okay since I'm such an experienced flyer. I told him maybe he should have thought about that before leaving me alone before our honeymoon even really began. He gets angry, tells me that this may be the only time he gets to fly business class, and he was giving me half his breakfast to make up for it, so I could at least be supportive of his genuine fear. I roll my eyes sarcastically, say thanks, and he goes back up to his seat. When we landed, I just tried to move on and forget about it so we could just enjoy our honeymoon. But he guilt-tripped me about not comforting him via text before takeoff, and now I'm wondering if I'm being unreasonable and should have just let him enjoy his time in business class and ensure him it'd be okay. So, am I the arsehole? Commenter says to OP, info, did you get stuck in a middle seat in economy? If so, we ride at dawn. OP says, thank God no. Aisle seats. We've flown together 3 times in the past, Florida, Vegas, and Europe, and made a deal to alternate if one of us had a middle seat. I think the flight was overbooked, and they just gave a random person in a middle seat an upgrade to business so they could fit more people in economy. I have status that allows me to use 500 points to upgrade if the seats are available. Usually I didn't bother putting myself on the upgrade list, but the agent I spoke to on the phone said she could ensure we'd be upgraded as a couple or not at all. Owls and Cardinal says not the arsehole, your husband made a really questionable decision and he was essentially having to live with the consequences of this decision. He jumped at the chance to sit alone in business class, and I guess it didn't occur to him how evidently reliant he is on you during a flight. Regardless of his phobia, he's a grown man and it seems like he made it through takeoff just fine if he was asking your help when he'd already been served food. It's like he was using his need for you as a weapon to make you feel obligated to forgive him for making a pretty shitty choice given that it was your honeymoon. Someone asks OP, is everything always about him? OP says he grew up poor and has this mindset of always wanting to have more things, more money, etc. I grew up middle class, but had awesome parents that made sure I got the opportunities that they didn't. I think he has a very fear of missing out mindset and thinks he deserves to experience things as an adult because he had so little growing up. We just have very different ways of looking at things. I care enjoying what I do for work and don't care about salary and promotions. He wants to make all the money and get all the promotions no matter what. Now, I totally get anxiety around flying. I'm a very, very anxious flyer myself, like someone that has like death grips on the armrest as it's taking off and landing. But after that initial decision where you turned up and he's like, no, I'll take the business class, you can go in economy, I had very little sympathy in the end. I've got to be honest. And it felt like a bit like that comment said that, you know, he was only bringing the breakfast over and then partially using that anxiety against you to get you to forgive him. But talking about anxious flying, I remember I went on a Christmas do once with the last company that I worked for. We went to Frankfurt in Germany and went to the Christmas markets. It was absolutely wonderful. If you ever get a chance, go. So much better than any UK Christmas market I've been to so far. But on the way back, it was a bit of a rough ride on the way back, and I was sat by myself in a row of 3 and I had a couple next to me. The girlfriend or wife was by the window. The guy was sat next to me. We hadn't really made eye contact, just sort of said hi as I sat down, and everything was fine. And as we was coming into land, there was like turbulence or something, but the overhead lockers were opening and the plane was shaking. And I hadn't realized, but when I opened my eyes and we had finally landed, I was holding onto the guy's hand as well. And his girlfriend was holding on the other side. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, mate. I'm really sorry. I didn't know what I was doing there. He was like, nah, it's fine. And we had a bit of a laugh about it. But my word, that was an experience. Anyway, now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, our next story comes from Other Salt 3889 from the True Off My Chest subreddit and says, my wife is addicted to the gym and it's ruining our marriage. My wife is 30 years old and she's always worked out and been in shape. But lately, I feel like it's becoming excessive. She used to regularly work out at the gym when she was in college. At some point, she stopped going to the gym. I think lately just due to her schedule and preferred to work out at home or go for runs outside. About 18 months ago, she announced she was going to get back into the habit of going to the gym. She now had a job where she's able to make more time for it. It started off normal, but slowly became more and more frequent. She signed up for classes on the weekend, both days. She started going to the gym every day. And it became the morning before work and then again later in the evening. Every single day. If she's stressed, she goes to the gym. Experience some sort of life crisis, she immediately heads to the gym. We have an argument, runs to the gym. She's 4 months pregnant right now. I'm kind of surprised we even had time to make a kid. I understand that it's safe for her to work out, especially since she was already in the habit of doing it before she got pregnant. The intensity is not slowing down. If she misses one of her normal gym sessions, she becomes so irritable, like a junkie not getting her fix. It's just bizarre. Truly a case of too much of a good thing. Of course, she gets upset when I voice that I feel it's becoming an unhealthy obsession and that I miss spending time with her because she's there so much. She has all of these friends and this whole circle of people there that she seems to prefer spending time with over me. Why don't we work out together at the gym? The gym is her time, she says. This isn't a case of me feeling insecure because she's in great physical shape and I'm a fat slob. I work out and am in shape. My job really requires me to stay in shape, so I can't let myself go if I want to. I genuinely feel her gym habits are unhealthy. She's over-exercising for one. There is such a thing. But worse than that, I feel it's becoming a way for her to escape everything else in her life. She never actually fixed anything that goes wrong in her life. She just runs off to the gym to get some sort of mood boost and that's it. She also never gets anything else done in practical sense, because how can she when she's at the gym so often? It's to the point where I have to do every chore, and if food is getting made, I'm going to have to do it. I don't expect her to do all those things, but it should at least be a shared effort. People we know have even commented about it to me. They said things about how she seems different, how she sure is at the gym a lot, and many of her friends and family barely see her anymore. Some have even suggested she's having an affair with somebody there. Please tell me that this doesn't sound normal to you. She insists this is perfectly normal. So there was some comments which OP replied to. Man says, my guess would be that she is overwhelmed by life and that she escapes to the gym. She's probably always been a control freak, and now that life does things, she has a hard time not being in control. You are always in control at the gym. Same reason why bodybuilding attracts control freaks. OP says, yes, she is somebody who is overwhelmed with life, a very stressed out person. Somebody who is worried about everything. Her job is extremely stressful to her, and she's been on the verge of true breakdowns because of it multiple times. They're actually the ones who told her she had to do something to deal with her stress, which was part of the reason she started going to the gym. Correct Preline says, okay, the people thinking it's an affair is one thing, but I think it's more likely this. I saw this post and actually thought of myself at one point. I used to spend 3 hours at the gym over 2 sessions some days and run 30 to 40 miles a week. If I missed my run or someone changed plans on me, I'd be very annoyed and have to make it up another day, often overworking myself and just stress / can't enjoy things until I get my workout in. Based on what you said, I do think she is addicted to exercise and it is a real thing. I think due to her pregnancy and body changes, the gym and exercise is really how she feels in control. It's an obsession like OCD, if that makes sense, and over time she will need more exercise to feel that high. Someone says to OP, How long is she at the gym per session? OP says she leaves around 5 to 5:15 am, so in the morning around an hour or so. In the evening sometimes up to 2 hours. On weekends a few hours a day. People suggested that's like just far too much, and OP replied saying yeah, something happened to her back yesterday and she can barely bend over. It didn't happen when she was at the gym, she was just standing there getting ready to leash the dog up, and she said it felt like a muscle seized up. She's in pain, but she went to the gym today. Someone asks OP, what is she going to do after she has the baby? She can't go to the gym all the time with a newborn. Have you talked about that? OP says she's already checked and the gym offers childcare for babies starting at 6 weeks. She knows, at least I'm sure she does on some level, that she won't be back in the gym lifting weights for 3 days after the birth, but 6 weeks will be a challenge, especially since that seems to be a stress and anxiety coping mechanism, and we're in for a lot of stress and anxiety as new parents. And there was many different theories, like a lot of people were saying, oh, is she cheating? Which, there's a possibility. We've seen it in other stories before around the gym scenario. Some people suggesting mental health, anxiety, etc. Other people suggesting possible eating disorder. Many people saying, this is just too much. People relating it to themselves as well, saying, they got themselves into a situation where they had to hit the gym every single day. My initial thoughts was that she's always sort of like been someone who's went to the gym all the time and sounds pretty proud of what she did. So, when she got pregnant and changes in your body, etc., it's got to be a bit of a shock. So now it sounds like she's using the gym in an unhealthy way, an obsession. But like I said, I've seen many stories. This could go in all sorts of different directions. But OP updated the post and says, I posted not very long ago about my wife's addiction to the gym. A compulsion, if you will. She spends most of her free time there. She often goes twice a day and sometimes even 3 times if we have a fight at night and she needs to run off instead of actually talking to me. She won't let me go to her gym and she refuses to go to mine. Her gym is her place, my gym is my place, and that's just the way it has to be according to her. I'd love to have her come along with me. I've invited her multiple times. She's about 18 weeks pregnant right now. This is our first baby. She worked out like crazy prior to the pregnancy and she continues to just as hard now. I truly didn't think she was cheating on me. People suggested it in the last thread and I laughed. You can tell she's at the gym a lot. She's in great shape, so she's obviously going there. I felt really confident about the cheating issue, and when I posted 9 days ago, I wasn't even considering cheating. I'm embarrassed to admit that after reading a lot of the comments on my last post, I thought maybe I was being overly confident about her fidelity. She usually always has her phone on her, but she left it in the kitchen counter, and as stupid as I felt, I decided to do a quick swipe through her texts. She had a current text conversation going on with a guy. I recognized the name. The same name of a guy from the gym she mentions a lot. She's friends with a lot of people there, went to one of their weddings last fall. I wasn't too terribly concerned until I started reading the text. Never wanted to know what the guy's dick looked like, but I know now. She was only out of the room for literally about a minute or two, so I had to scroll fast. I was furious. I asked her what the fuck that conversation was about. She started yelling at me for looking at her phone. I told her she's acting so weird and the gym obsession was really bothering me, so I just decided to look, and was ashamed that I did, but that I thought I'd find nothing at all. She said, it's nothing. Didn't look like nothing to me. Sure seemed pretty interested in this nothing. I wanted to know if she'd been fucking him, for how long. She kept saying no. I left the house because I was so furious, but not before I slammed her phone on the ground and shattered it. She was calling me all sorts of names for breaking her phone. She hit me on the back as hard as she could. I left, went to my brother's house. My brother and sister-in-law were shocked, although my sister-in-law was one of the most vocal ones about my wife's gym obsession being weird and bringing it up to me constantly. I went home. She was in bed crying. She obviously couldn't call me or anyone else for that matter. She was laying it on thick. I don't know if you'd ever come home. Give me a break. I took her phone to get it repaired tonight. She doesn't deserve it, but I still feel like an ass for breaking her phone. I still don't know how deep it goes. She wouldn't admit to anything beyond what I saw. Was it sexting, bad enough, or more? I'm convinced it was a lot more, but she refuses to hand over her phone and is now trying to act like I'm this terrible monster who is abusing her because I broke her phone. Not my proudest moment, but I honestly wanted to body slam her after she punched me. I've never and would never actually touch her like that. And I'll just give you a gist of the comments on that update because we have further updates as well. Majority of the people saying, DNA test, STD test, and people suggesting that she's absolutely doing more than just sexting. But OP posted their next update and said, not sure if posting something in my profile will be seen by anyone, but I don't feel like making another update in a subreddit. Today, my wife asked me to stay home from work so we could talk. She laid in bed all day yesterday trying to get me to feel sorry for her. But I paid absolutely no attention to her and ended up leaving the house to go to my family's Super Bowl party. I wasn't in the mood to go out, but I wasn't going to sit at home with her. It really bothered her that I left. She kept texting me things like, who just leaves like that? When something like this is happening, who is that cold and callous that they just leave to go to a party? I stayed home today to talk to her. She was full of tears. She's so sorry. According to her, she really was going to the gym twice a day because she likes going there. That's where her friends are. Makes her feel good. It's fun for her. She met this guy there and he started flirting with her. Everyone likes him. He's one of the most popular guys there. I didn't realize there were popular people at the gyms. She admitted that she flirted back but didn't mean anything by it. She didn't reciprocate very much at first, but he gave her butterflies and she just found herself flirting back without thinking. She said it felt like when she had a crush on somebody when she was in school, when she was younger. They started texting. At first it was just friendly and nothing sexual for several months. But she'd feel giddy every time she got a message from him. She was really attracted to him, but told him that she was married and there could never actually be anything between them. According to her, he kept flirting with her anyway and said, sure, we won't cross the line. Until they did cross the line. She said she had tried to resist it for a while, but then one day they kissed. She admitted to enjoying it, but also feeling that it was wrong. She must not have felt that bad because she slept with him for the first time later that night. She described it like falling in love with somebody for the first time. All she could think about was him. Is she in love with him? She doesn't know. Is the baby mine? She thinks so, but there's always a small chance it could be his. He always uses a condom, so she doesn't think it's his baby, but they were sleeping together at the time she got pregnant. She loves me. She can't help that there's just this huge spark between the two of them. She doesn't know if she loves him. She doesn't know if the baby is mine. She doesn't know why she did this. She doesn't know what she thinks we should do. The nail in the coffin is when she said, you would really leave me if it's not your baby, would you? She had the balls to ask me that. I told her of course I'm leaving her and I wouldn't raise another man's child. She seemed shocked. She said, really? With everything we have and all of our history, you wouldn't even consider it? She can't be serious. I told her no, I would never consider it. She agreed to get a DNA test. She tearfully agreed, like I'm supposed to feel sorry for her about it. I don't know who this woman is. She was crying the whole time, but not tears of a shamed or sorry person. They were tears for herself and meant to try and make me feel bad. Feel bad for what? That her heart is apparently so torn. OP added some relevant comments below that one and said she ruined my life, but I just feel numb right now. I barely feel anything at the moment. It would have been bad enough for her to have an affair and cheat on me, but she couldn't have stopped when she found out she was pregnant. At least I could have walked away if it wasn't for this pregnancy. Maybe I still can, but I won't know for sure until I get some test results. She's almost positive the baby is mine. I'm stuck dealing with her forever then. My child will grow up with divorced parents. Then mum will be the gym bike. Maybe she'll even take off to live near her family and take my kid with her. Oh, but then she couldn't be near the guy who gives her butterflies and fucks her in gym changing rooms. The thrill, the excitement. How can I even blame her? She's ruined fatherhood for me, whether this is my kid or not. If by some chance this isn't my baby and I'm able to completely break free, how will I not think of this one day when I start a family? I was so fucking happy to have this baby with her. I was really excited, even though we hadn't planned for it right now. We have names picked out. I've been there for everything. Now she does this to me. Not only me, but this poor kid, regardless of who their father is. Opie says again, she's saying, I'll never go back to the gym again. I'll never talk to him again. But she can't say whether she's in love with him or not. What kind of idiot does she think I am? Commenter replies saying she still thinks there is hope to save your relationship. Jesus Christ. Opie says, yeah, I believe she still thinks there's a chance I'll agree to raise another man's child with her. She doesn't take me seriously when I say there's no way I'd do that. She's dependent on me. She probably wouldn't leave me if I knocked somebody else up and wanted her to play mummy. I know that sounds terrible and it's nothing I'd ever do, but I feel she'd be mad and she'd go screw somebody else to get back at me, but she probably would be too scared to actually leave me. I don't feel the same way about her leaving. I'm sad to leave her. I don't want this to be our reality. I can't even say that I completely hate her yet, but I won't raise another man's child. If she feels so strongly about that guy and he's so wonderful, go get together with him then and leave everyone else alone. She was practically on her knees yesterday saying I won't go back to the gym, I won't ever contact him again. I feel like that doesn't really mesh with the fact that she doesn't even know if she's in love with him or not. She obviously still has very strong feelings for him, which are probably coming from more between her legs and her actual heart, but doesn't really matter either way to me. I think despite anything to do with him, she's dependent on me in a way. Stability maybe, just out of comfort maybe. We've been together since she was 20 years old. So I'm just this familiar person, I guess. She has her gym friends out there, but other than that, she has no family or friends out here. She makes pretty good money, but I make more, and all of our benefits are through me. Even with a good salary, it'd be difficult to survive on her own as a single mum here with all of the daily living expenses, or at least live anywhere near the level she wants to live at. Another comment from OP which says today is the day she was crying all night about how she's ruined her life. She seemed genuine, like reality is hitting her, but I didn't pay any attention to her at all. I just pretended she wasn't there. I did ask her if she'd get blood drawn for a paternity test. I asked her to please not hurt me further by keeping me in limbo about that for months. She said she doesn't want to. Information on if OP got themselves a lawyer and if he ever met the affair partner. OP says, I'm meeting with a lawyer next week and we'll see what they advise. How can she parade me around when I've never been allowed to go to a gym? I've met two of the people, a slightly older married couple. Yes, I met the affair partner. Last summer, he called her because he was drunk at a bar and couldn't drive home, so he called her to come get him. I didn't think it was a good idea for her to go pick somebody up late at night, so I went with her. I want her out of the house, but I don't necessarily want her to fly back home from where she's from just yet. If this is my kid, and she gives birth out here, I'll be in a much better position. If she leaves and goes home to her parents, she could very well be allowed to stay there, and that would be considered the baby's place of residence. She's missed a few days of work, but she hasn't gone to work since all of this happened. She was having a meltdown this morning and I left for work. She told me she had to go in late today, and when she got there, everyone was making her food and tea and stuff. She obviously didn't tell them what really happened. OP adds info on how long the affair was happening and said she claims they've been sleeping together since the summer. That's just what she claims, of course. Yeah, and I'll be taking that claim with a pinch of salt because OP's been trickle-truthed through the majority of this story so far, which is really sad to see. But OP adds another update and says, my life has been reduced to a trashy daytime talk show. The woman who was once my wife, who I considered a classy woman, has turned into a complete trailer trash. Today she announced that she's moving in with her affair partner from the gym. She's pregnant, might be his kid, might be mine. She's too embarrassed to get blood drawn for a paternity test. She spent about a week trying to get my attention, to get me to talk to her, to get me to beg her to be mine. I didn't fall for any of it. I've largely been ignoring her, and when we have to speak I keep it very brief. We've been living together this whole time, but I'm in a different room now and functioning separate from her in all ways. So her pouting and trying to get me to pay attention to her and give her a gold star for not going to the gym for 5 days in a row didn't work. Today she texts me to say she's moving in with him. Somehow, I still care about this person. I've already met with my lawyer though. I can care about her as a human being and possible mother of my child without being married to her. Still, it stung to hear her say she was going to be with him. I told her it wasn't a smart move to leave the house. I've even told her she should probably meet with a lawyer. She doesn't care about anything I have to say. I don't think she needs to move in with anybody. I actually feel bad for her that she can't just be on her own. I asked her if he actually knew she was pregnant and wanted to know what story she'd been telling him this whole time. She said he knows and he doesn't care if it's my baby. He loves her and wants to be with her. Bizarre. You can't find anyone else. Somebody who isn't a married, pregnant woman. Why would you take that on? It doesn't make sense to me. He's scum, but he's good-looking scum who apparently is gainfully employed and owns his own home. So you can't tell me that my married pregnant wife is your only option here. I just can't imagine being a single guy like that and wanting to put up with this baggage when I could have other options. And if this is really my baby, I live with my wife and this weasel 50% of the time. I don't know how my life turned into this mess, and she thinks it's embarrassing to have to get blood drawn. Opie's next update says my wife moved in with her affair partner last weekend. She didn't take very much at all. Most of her stuff is in our house. I still get the feeling that she was just waiting for me to beg her to come home, but I didn't reach out to her at all after she left. It was a strange mixture of relief, anger, and sadness. I don't think I ate at all until last night. Just never felt hungry. Drank a little too much, but I'm fine. I'm posting this update because I've received a ton of messages from people, and honestly it's emotionally draining to respond to each one and have to type the same stuff out. I just don't feel like talking about her that much. So this morning, she texted me to say her affair partner wants to get a DNA test done, so she's going to do it. Look at that. Didn't matter when I wanted one, but now he has requested it, she suddenly thinks it's a great idea. She asked if I wanted to submit a sample because it'd be cheaper to have 2 dads tested as part of one package. I don't even care about the cost at this point, I just want an answer. I don't have to see or interact with them at all. I just have to make my own appointment with a lab to get my cheek swabbed. So this Saturday, I'm going to do that, and we should have the results within a week. I'll take what I can at this point because it's better than her dragging this out for another 20 weeks. So that's it, I'm fine. I'm going to work every day, trying to function. Just feel stuck in limbo. I miss her. Honestly, I hate that she's there with him. It makes me sick. Part of me does want to beg her to come home. It'd be even worse if I find out that's my baby and she's there with him, unless he drops her at that news. I won't let myself beg her. I won't play any of those games with her. Opie adds a comment about the paternity test and said, at 11 this morning I got the news that I'm the father. I feel incredibly conflicted right now. And people were suggesting that, maybe you should meet up and talk about the future and what that looks like for you and the child as well. Opie says we definitely need to talk, but I got the news in the middle of a workday, so I wasn't in the mood to have a full-blown conversation with her. I think I need to sort of wrap my head around the reality of it all before I say too much to her anyway. Next update. My wife has been having an affair with a guy she met at the gym for at least nearly a year. She's around 22 weeks pregnant right now. She was somewhere around 17 weeks when I discovered she was cheating. She maintained that she was positive I was the father, but then refused to get a paternity test done to ease my mind. We recently had a paternity test done, at the request of her affair partner, and it proves the baby is mine. It's been very mixed emotions for me, very up and down. Originally I thought I just wanted to be completely done with her and not have any lifelong ties in the form of a full-blown human being we shared. I was sort of happy or relieved when I got the results. I'd say I had it in my mind that I was going to be a father for months before I found out she was cheating. Sometimes I just have moments where I can't believe this is my life, that this is the situation that my kid will be born into, and I hate her for it. She's still living with him. All of her belongings are still here in our house. I refuse to do the work of packing everything up for her. She doesn't seem concerned about taking any of her things beyond the essentials. After we got news that I'm the baby's father, she texts me to say that she's glad I'm the father and that she knows I'll be a great dad. She was texting me new baby name ideas last night. She's tried calling, but I ignore the calls. I only speak with her via text. This morning she asked if she could come by and get a few things. I told her it was fine, and I've been advised by my lawyer to not prevent her entry from the home. But I told her that he better not be with her. So who shows up with her? The scumbag boyfriend. He walks right into the house behind her like it's no big deal. She ran upstairs to get the stuff she wanted, and he and I were just left standing there in the living room. He told me it wasn't her fault that he was there. She told him I didn't want to come, but he forced his way along. He wanted to talk to me, to tell me he understand how I must be feeling. No, you don't know. He told me he knows I probably don't believe him, but he genuinely loves her and knew he probably wasn't the father. He accepts it and then tried to assure me that he won't try to take my place with the baby and hopes we can just get along since we're both going to be in her life now. He promises that she's fine, he's looking after her. I told him that I couldn't for the life of me imagine what he wanted with a pregnant woman who's having another man's child, and I found it weird. And I told him if he didn't get out of my house, I'd punch him. I went upstairs and she was trying to find some things in the bathroom. I got mad and asked her why she brought him along, and told her I find it really strange that he still wants to be with her now, that he knows he has nothing to do with this baby, and that I refuse to let him have anything to do with my child. She said he talked her into coming and she's sorry and never meant for any of this to happen, but she's in love with him now. He is supposedly what 30-year-old her is looking for, not me. She's setting up a nursery in his house, and I can set one up at my house, and she has no intention of trying to get full custody or anything like that. She doesn't want to keep me from being involved in my child's life. How generous of her. She went back downstairs and I followed her, and he was still standing there in the living room, and I just walked up to him and punched him. He stumbled back and fell into a table. She yelled, "What the fuck?" and ran over to him. I don't even care at this point, and if he's going to call the cops, he deserved it, and it wouldn't have happened had he just left like I told him to. Several hours later, she texted me to say she was sorry about today. He really meant what he said, and he's actually a good guy, and he cares about her and he respects me. What the fuck? He respects me. He was screwing my wife in the gym locker room. I was like, you can't be serious. She said, fine. I'm trying to have a mature conversation about this. I can't help that we fell in love. Believe it or not, I'm not trying to hurt you, and I want everything to be amicable. This guy stole my wife, and he's stealing my kid too. Sure, I'm the actual father, but now they're setting up a nursery together in his house. I've tried not to feel jealous or sad. I've tried to maintain the thought that he's the trash man who picked up my garbage. Sometimes I feel that way, but the truth is that I loved her and still love her. I don't want to stay married to her on principle alone, but this is devastating to me. And OP adds one more update and says, my wife is basically 26 weeks pregnant now. There actually hasn't been much drama with her and her affair partner. I was away for a long weekend last week, and it was nice to just get away from home for a while. The only really annoying thing that's happened is that I'm being in the delivery room, not him. After everything she's done, she owes me that. It's not his baby. He has no right or reason to be there. I will not be the one waiting outside when my kid is being born. She said yeah, she agreed and never planned to have him in there with her. I asked her if she told him that, and she said no. I told her to tell him that he'll have no part in it. Well, she told him, and apparently he didn't like that, and he started trying to convince her why he should be there. Next thing I know, she's telling me that he really wants to be there, and she's the one giving birth, so she should be able to say who she wants there, and she wants him there. I suppose you'll start making name suggestions soon, and we'll try to overrule names we've picked out for our future kids for years. We've talked a little bit, and she told me I can have our house and the dog in our divorce. I'm requesting that we sell the house and split the profit. I already had that written in the paperwork. I'm not buying her out of our house, a house that I've made all the payments on anyway. I have a much better credit score than her and less debt. I compromised a lot because she liked this house. I'd rather be able to get my own place based just on what I want with no reminders of her. And there was already no way she was getting the dog. I already had proof that I owned him though, so she wouldn't really stand a chance of having a court award the dog to her. It's the one thing I told my lawyer I wanted above everything else, not including any custody issues surrounding my actual human child. Honestly, her affair partner can have her, but he will never ever have my dog. Not to mention my dog is 100 times more loyal than my wife, and some might even say better looking too. So with the idea I won't be living here in the house for much longer after the baby is born, if everything moves quickly, I decided I will still prepare a nursery here anyway, in case anyone wants to try to accuse me of not being invested or prepared for fatherhood. I'm trying to look at the positives. It doesn't matter what colors she likes or what themes, I can do whatever I want. Honestly, we've been together for so long and have lived together most of our adult lives. It's sort of nice not living with somebody that's sort of lonely too. I have friends and family, but it's hard to feel in a good mood to go out or hang out with people too often. They always ask me about everything that's going on, and it's just like I'm tired of being the topic of conversation. I got a promotion at work, which financially would have been better had it happened after the divorce, but I'll take what I can get. I feel like I'm living in this limbo right now, and a lot of what I do is always framed around how will this affect me in the divorce. Admittedly, I spy on them on social media sometimes. Yes, I'm hoping to see he's been in a motorcycle accident or something now that the weather is nicer. Hasn't happened yet, but he's starting a new company, and once that's up and running, I can always get all my friends and family to leave 1-star reviews everywhere. I have to find ways to have a little fun. Sorry that I don't respond to a lot of messages or comments. Sometimes I just take big breaks from looking at Reddit since it can be depressing as fuck. Editing to add something I forgot. She told her family that we split up and that she's with this other guy now. Her sister reached out to me to say how sorry she was. Her sister is a dumbass, that sort of thing. She told me that my wife was complaining about her affair partner. She says the sex is over when he's done, and apparently he's really selfish with sex. He doesn't do extra things for her that she's used to me doing, like clearing the snow off her car in the morning and heating it up, or offering to make her food after a long day. He doesn't speak her love language, and he hangs out with his friends too much. This made me so happy to hear. She's secretly miserable. I find that absolutely delightful. As I was reading through those updates and, there was the chance and she was hoping to get back together with OP, it felt like she would have taken that option if she got it. And because, OP was so like, no, there's no chance we're getting back together. That's when she went back to the affair partner and decided to get with him like he's a second choice kind of thing. What an absolutely wild thing to go through though. It's just everything that's going on and the amount of time it takes, the weeks of pregnancy that we've seen in this one post, and every day OP's having to live that, think about the consequences of not just the pregnancy and their child coming into this world and what that's going to mean for OP, but also the affair and what he's been through with that situation as well, and also the divorce. And I know it's not the point, but all the little intricacies of that, like the paperwork that you got to deal with, the meetings, that's got to be absolutely draining. Like I said, I know it's not the main point. OP's been through an absolute ton by the sounds of it. But just thinking about the day-to-day life as well, it sounds really rough. But what do you guys make of this situation? And the affair partner turning up to his house and just walking in like that. It almost felt like he was enjoying that. I don't know. Something about that guy was just like, hold on a second here. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, our next story comes from a throwaway account who says, I, 20 male, am not comfortable with my girlfriend's 19 female living situation, and I'm not sure how to bring it up. I, 20 male, am visiting my girlfriend, 19 female, for spring break. This is the first time I have visited her this year, as we both go to colleges that are across the country from each other. I've met her two roommates briefly when we FaceTime, and they all seem nice and enjoy similar things as her. They had met each other through social media and had been talking for a while and had planned to live together, so they're all pretty close. Her dorm is apartment style, includes living room and dining area. When she was giving me a tour, I saw that there were 4 bedrooms. I know she and her 2 roommates all have a room, but I didn't know why there was a 4th room. When I asked her, she said the room wasn't that important and laughed with her roommates. The first night, after having dinner, the 4 of us were hanging out in their living room area when the door opened and another girl walked in. She seemed surprised to see me and walked right into the 4th bedroom. My girlfriend and her roommates started to laugh, and after they were done, told me that she was their other roommate. I was super confused because anytime I've talked with my girlfriend, the only people who talk were the other 2 girls. My girlfriend even sent pictures of the bathrooms, living room, and kitchen after the 3 of them decorated it for themselves. My girlfriend and her roommates then told me that because they went into the dorms as a group of 3, they ended up with a random roommate. The entire time, they never said her name and just called her random roommate while laughing. At one point, the girl came out to fill her water bottle, and my girlfriend and the other 2 stopped mid-conversation and stared like a hawk at her until she went back into her room. After she did, they resumed talking and laughing. The girl didn't come out for the rest of the night. Before we went to bed, I asked my girlfriend more about her other roommate and why they all act like that. At first, she was confused, but then said that the girl is really nice, just not like them. She said that in the beginning of the year, the girl was really talkative towards them and friendly, but the other 2 girls did some stuff, and now she just goes to her room all the time. She said that she says hi to her sometimes when she's getting ready for class, but that's it. She said that she was different from them, and not all roommates have to get along. I asked if she knew I was coming and staying here for a week, and she said no, but she'd be fine with it. The past 3 days I've been here, I've noticed that while my girlfriend and her roommates all hang out in the living room, the other girl stays in her room and only comes out when she leaves. My girlfriend gave me a more in-depth tour, and the girl gets 1 door shelf in the fridge and half a drawer/cabinet in their kitchen. The rest is used by the other girls. I asked why she doesn't have more space, and my girlfriend just shrugged. I'm not sure why, but I just feel really soured about the entire thing. My girlfriend has never been a mean girl, but something about this just makes me uncomfortable. On one hand, I'm really happy my girlfriend was lucky enough to have roommates she gets along with and are her friends. But on the other hand, I feel bad for her other roommate. I don't know if I'm just overthinking this. How do I bring this up to my girlfriend, or should I just leave it alone? Now, this kind of behavior just strikes me as bullying in my opinion. And the fact that she's laughing at this girl, not speaking up for her in terms of like all the space in the kitchen, staring at her when she actually just comes out of her room, says everything that I need to hear really. I wouldn't be able to be with someone who treated another person that way. Even if she's doing it for herself, she's enabling this behavior. And I just can't imagine how that poor girl feels coming home and then being treated like this in her own, which should be her safe place, not being able to come out of her room because she gets stared at like a hawk. But Roger says, seems like your girlfriend and her friends are getting joy out of making someone else's life miserable. There's a difference between being different kinds of people and straight up being mean, inconsiderate bullies. Don't look good in terms of her character. Superb says, how do you trust someone in a long distance relationship if they have poor character? Seems like she would do whatever with whoever if it was what her two roommates wanted. I'm sure you know this and it's what's bugging you, like treating waitstaff poorly. OP says her two roommates both have boyfriends. I understand what you're saying, but I know that she would never cheat or do anything like that because of her family and what she's been through. That's why I'm confused with all of this. She's never given any indication that she could act like this. Sorry, I guess replies to OP and says, and now she is giving every indication that she is exactly like this. Nobody is a monster until they are. Frankly, as someone who has PTSD from being bullied, when you said the other two girls did some stuff and then stopped being around them, I got a cold chill up my spine. What she's telling you is that the other two girls did something so truly cruel to put that poor girl in her place that she literally went from being friendly and chatty to being withdrawn and not daring to leave her room most of the time. And that's not even without the fact that they're unapologetically taking advantage of her and not giving her fair share of space that she pays equally to live in. The girlfriend may be the ringleader, but she's not only standing by and allowing her friends to treat this girl like dirt on the bottom of their shoes, she is actively participating in freezing her out and making her feel unwelcome. That whole silencing their talk as soon as she enters the room and laughing about her behind her back, that's straight up vicious. You aren't one of us bullying. Your girlfriend isn't just a mean girl, she's a vicious bully. And she is ruining that other girl's experience of university and leaving her with unhappy memories she will carry throughout the rest of her life. Just as your girlfriend will remember being happy with her friends and what she's been through, or whether or not she would cheat on you is irrelevant. You literally are watching her behave this way and still denying it. She should be ashamed of herself, and so should you for not calling her out. People say nothing while others are mistreated are just as bad as the ones doing it. Oh, and for the record, this isn't about not getting along. Your girlfriend said it herself. The girl was perfectly nice and friendly. This is not a mutual situation of not getting along. This is your girlfriend and her roommates bullying and freezing out their fourth roommate. Period. OP replies to that saying, wow, thanks for this insight. I'm sorry you went through something similar. Part of me wonders if my girlfriend knows what they did to her, but I don't know. I'm leaving tomorrow and I don't know if I should say something to her now or after I leave. I don't want to do anything that causes a roommate to be treated worse because of me, you know. And posts like this always brings those memories of being bullied flooding back to me and just makes my heart break for that girl even more. The amount of isolation you feel and, she might not feel this way, but the chance that she does, it breaks my heart for her that she feels like she can't turn to anyone. When she gets home, she has to go and hide in her room and then she's probably in there thinking, oh, if I need to fill up my water bottle, what am I going to do sort of thing. And what did those girls do to her as well? Like that last comment said, but OP did update the post and said, hi everyone. I posted a while back and received some replies as well as a bunch of private messages. I decided to post a short update to let you know what happened. Shortly after I posted and read through your comments and messages, I realized that this relationship was about to end. A lot of you brought up great points and I just couldn't justify staying with a person who acts like this. That night, we all went out to a couple of parties and seeing her act just kind of reinforced my previous thoughts. Her and her friends were just so rude. I don't mean flat out. They actually were pretty fun and nice to a bunch of people. But the three of them just had no regard for everyone else except for them. It was like they had no awareness of their surroundings and didn't even care. Towards the end of the night, I was so upset about everything that I asked my girlfriend if we could head back early. She said yes, and we split up from the other two girls. When we got back to her place and got ready for bed, I brought up her two roommates and I just lightly spoke about everything on my mind. She fully admitted that she knew the two girls were rude and literally called them horrible bitches, but there was nothing she could do because they all lived together. I brought up that she willingly signed a lease to move in with them in an apartment next year, and if she didn't like them, why did she always entertain them? She said she didn't know what to say and just kind of shrugged it off. I then asked about her other roommate and found out what the other two girls did. Apparently, when the three of them went out, the girl made her dinner and ate in their living room while watching a movie. When they came back and saw her, one of the two walked into the living room, unplugged the TV in the middle of a movie and said, "You did not pay for this, this is not yours, do not touch." While the other girl took the remote and laughed. The TV belonged to one of the roommates who brought it from her room at home. The apps on it were all split between all the roommates, and I think one of the accounts belonged to the girl. So my girlfriend and the other girl also didn't pay for the TV. I was shocked. That is legit mean girl stuff you see in the movies. When I asked my girlfriend what she did, she said she did nothing and in the moment laughed because she was embarrassed for her, and that's just what she does when she's uncomfortable. Which is true. My girlfriend passed out after that, and I spent a little bit packing my stuff and preparing what I was going to tell her. The next morning I straight up told her that I really don't see a future with her. I said that she's become a bully, and I don't want to be with someone who surrounds herself with people that are horrible people. She became defensive and said she's never done anything bad, and it's the other two girls. I told her that by now she's an adult and had many choices to not partake in their bullying, but has chosen to and stuck up for them. She got very emotional and then became angry and told me to leave. I got an Uber and headed to the airport, and when I got back to my place, she texted me and asked if this was a break while I figured out what I wanted or if this was definite. I restated what I told her and said that I hope she figures out who she is and I wish her well. I think she blocked me after that. I haven't heard from her since. I did hear from my friend's girlfriend, who is friendly with her and on her private stories, that their room got busted for having alcohol in them, which is banned in the dorms, and all four of them had to have a meeting with their RA and dorm director, proving their innocence. Hope this gives the fourth girl an opportunity to tell them about her living situation. But I don't think I'll ever know. Anyways, thanks for all the advice that I revised. I know it wasn't much, but I definitely appreciated it. And, discovering your girlfriend is not the person you thought she is and finding out about this behavior, I can't blame you for breaking up, but my heart still goes out for this fourth girl in the situation. With the alcohol, is she going to get the blame for it? There's a couple of comments hoping that it was her who snuck the alcohol in and is going to blame those three girls for it. That would be nice, but I hope she does get herself out of that situation sooner rather than later, because it sounds like a horrific way to live, your university life. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And before we do get into this next story, there is a trigger warning on the story itself that's for sexism, body shaming, and emotional abuse. So if you do want to skip the story, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. And it's from another throwaway account that says, "Am I the arsehole here for wanting to divorce my wife because she got a reduction?" Basically, the title. I, 30 male, and my wife, 29 female, have been together for 6 years. Married for 2. I have a type, and based on my past relationships and the women I'm attracted to, it's not subtle. I like curvy women, and my wife happens to fit this type to a T. She's thick, and I appreciate that. I've been with other types of women, and simply put, thinner women don't do it for me. I mention this because I think that attraction is a big part of a relationship. I could love a person's personality all day long, but if I'm not attracted to them, it's not going to work. Very early in our relationship, she told me that she wanted a reduction, as she felt like they didn't fit her frame, and that they caused her to receive unwanted attention. I asked her if they caused her pain. She said that they didn't. I told her that I could understand doing something so drastic if they caused her pain or discomfort, or if it needed to be done for medical reasons. But for what boils down to just for aesthetics seemed a bit much. She didn't really agree or disagree and more or less just dropped the subject, as did I. Fast forward 5 years and we've been married for a year at this point. Out of nowhere she said that she had an appointment with a doctor to talk about a reduction. I was kind of surprised because I figured that at the very least she'd mention it to me. I understand it's not my place to tell her what she can or can't do with her body, but I don't know. I thought she would have said something even in passing. After her appointment, I thought that we should at the very least sit down and talk about her undergoing a massive surgery. I asked her about her appointment and she seemed cagey about the details. Eventually she opened up and told me that she was playing this close to her chest. No pun intended, because she knew that I would try and talk her out of it. I told her that I'm her husband and that I wouldn't try and talk her out of it, but I did want to make it clear that, for the lack of a better phrase, actions have consequences. She said that she understood that, but her chest makes her feel too self-conscious and she wants to go through with it. I told her that I understood and would stand by her. So she gets the procedure done, and after all the healing and swelling went down, she was left with a small B. We have been intimate a few times over the few weeks and she felt like everything was good and it's been a struggle. The size is really messing with me. Not only that, the scars are brutal. I have a thing about scars that just give me the ick. Even when I had my own surgery, my own scars gave me chills in the worst way possible. I opted for doggy style and reverse cowgirl so I didn't have to see the scars, but my wife knew something was off. She would switch positions so we could face each other, and it's been the end every time. I made up some bullshit about lower back pain and doggy style being the most comfortable position for me. She got upset and accused me of not finding her attractive. I didn't want to keep lying to her, but at the same time, if I agreed, I think that would have crushed her. So I just walked away from the conversation. I know it's not a great move to pull if I want a healthy relationship, but I didn't know what else to do. After that, I pulled back from initiating because I'm just not into it anymore. I would accept her advances as her libido is lower than mine, but I've pulled away from that as well because her chest is really unappealing to me. After a few weeks of me not initiating, she confronted me about it. I tried to brush it off by saying that I was stressed and tired. Lying felt kinder than saying that her flat chest makes her look like a child and that the scars make me want to dry heave. But she wasn't having it. I sat her down and reminded her that her actions would have consequences. She blew up at me, calling me shallow and telling me that this wouldn't matter to a real man. She asked if I still loved her. I said that I did, but that doesn't mean that meant I was obligated to sleep with her. And if the roles were reversed, she would say that this dynamic is borderline abusive. That conversation was like a month ago, and since then, things have been icy at best. I want to cuddle with her and spend time with her, but she has rejected my offers to spend time with her at every turn. It feels shitty because this entire situation was caused by her. She made the decision to get this done, despite my concerns. She knew how much scars deeply affected me and she pushed a specific kind of sex onto me despite me trying to work around this. And now that the consequences of her actions are affecting her, she is mad at me. I'm going to go out of my way to offer physical intimacy outside of sex to show her that I still love her and I'm still there for her, but she's not having any of it. I know that she's hurt because while I won't admit to it, she knows that I'm not attracted to her, at least with her shirt off anymore. And that probably feels crushing, but she brought this upon herself. At this point, I don't know where else to go from here. I feel like she won't forgive me, and to be honest, this whole thing has caused some resentment towards her, so I feel that divorce is our only option at this point. So, am I the asshole here if I get a divorce over this? And we have an edit and then a further update, well, a couple of updates on this one as well. So the first commenter said, would it be different if your wife was disfigured due to an accident and needed plastic surgery? Or say breast cancer and she needed a mastectomy? Is your issue the fact that she chose to do this? You can have preferences, sure, but in this specific case, you have some shallow reasons. Honestly, I hope she finds a better man. Hope he replies saying it would be completely different. I'd stand by her and suck it up because that's what you do. But this was senseless. It didn't need to happen. Also, it's not like I haven't tried to adjust this, so for you to still boil this down as just me being shallow is just reductive. It's dumb. Kendrick says, I think the whole actions have consequence thing is pretty arsehole-ish of you. It feels like you're trying to verbally punish her rather than getting her to empathize with you. Have you tried just having her keep lingerie on top while you're having sex? Like, I doubt she's super proud of her bare chest right now, and she stated that she did this at least partially for her proportionality, that they didn't fit her frame. Why don't you shop together for some lingerie that she feels will flatter her new frame and will keep you from seeing the scars? Opie responds saying, no, I'm not trying to punish her over this. I've asked her if she could keep her shirt on during sex, and she says that it's humiliating to her that her husband wants her to cover up during sex. It feels like I offer a solution and they get shot down. The lingerie could be a good idea though. Might be sexy enough for her that it doesn't come off as me trying to get her to cover up. Sugarcane Bandit says, I do not say this lightly, this guy is scum. I feel repulsed reading his first Am I the Arsehole to now. This poor woman. Wow. What a garbage husband. I got a breast reduction. Sure, it was a lot for my husband to get used to, but he respected me enough to support me and love me regardless of my breasts. I felt like a whole new person after my reduction. I'm so much more comfortable in my body. Too bad OP ruined that for his wife. This is so brutal. I hope she finds someone who loves her for her. So OP first came in with their edit which said, those of you that are saying that I only love my wife for her boobs, read the 4th paragraph and then read it again until it makes sense to you. Sound the words out if you have to. Not only is that take reductive as hell, but it's also flat out incorrect. Is the size an issue for me? Yes, but it's not the end or be all. I know that attraction is very much learned, but I'd like to do that at my pace, and constantly putting fresh scars in my face when we are intimate is not how you go about that. My issue is twofold. 1. She allowed the glimpses of strangers supersede my comfort with the situation. She put herself into debt just to appease the thoughts and opinions of other people. 2. She is not letting me adjust at my own pace. I love my wife and I love being with my wife, but forcing me to look at something that I find deeply disturbing is kind of fucked up. I've offered solutions that could work for us perfectly, but it seems that unless the only words out of my mouth are, great decision honey, your new boobs are way better than your old ones, she doesn't want to hear it. Because of those two factors, this is hard for me to look past, especially since this wasn't a necessary thing to do. I haven't even gotten into the fact that insurance refused to cover the surgery because it was technically a cosmetic surgery and she put herself into debt to do this, which pushes us back from buying the house we want. All around this was selfish and pointless, literally hustling backwards. So OP made another post about they started a dead bedroom and they said, I, male 30, started a dead bedroom with my 29 wife. Essentially, she made a unilateral decision to get a breast reduction for cosmetic reasons. I tried to get used to it, but my issues are multifaceted. 1. After the swelling went down, she's left with a B cup. She's flat chested and it feels very gross to me, like I'm looking at a child. It fucks with me mentally as I'm used to seeing large breasts when we used to have sex. Seeing her so flat just makes it feel inappropriate. 2. Her scars are fucking terrible. I have a strong aversion to scarring and scars in general. Her scars have been absolutely brutal, red and raised all the time. I even thought that she had an infection, but she tells me that her scars are red for a long time. 3. I'm simply not into flat-chested women. It's just not for me. 4. I'm angry that she would make such a bold decision with basically no heads up or room for feedback. 5. With how they look between the flatness and the scarring, not only does it do nothing for me, but they actively turn me off when I see them. I used to put her in positions like doggy style and reverse cowgirl when I could at least focus on other things. But it's like she puts them in my face on purpose. She even confirmed that theory when she told me that she wanted to face me while we have sex so she can make sure I'm still attracted to her. And to be frank, I've lost a lot of attraction towards her. I told her the truth. I said that her chest is turning me off and I would like to work around that for the time being until I can grow some more attraction towards them. But she freaked out on me. I suggested she wear a shirt or if we can have her face away from me, and she said that's degrading. Fair. I asked her if she can wear lace bras or lingerie so it's sexy for the both of us, but she says it feels like I'm just trying to cover her up. To be fair to her, I am, but it's what I'm comfortable with. She either balks at every suggestion or cries and tells me that it feels that I don't love her. I asked her what a good solution for this would be, and her solution is that I would appreciate how she looks and just get used to it. Well, I have a third option. I can just say sex is off the table. It's been a few weeks since we last had sex. We average 3 to 4 times a week, so obviously she's been pissed. She asked me when I get over my bitch fit, and I'll just ask her if she's willing to use any of my suggestions. She stormed away. Imagine oh man, I'm struggling to read this next line because it's so fucking, oh dearie me. I don't like the words coming out of my mouth. Imagine trading your sex life just to get a worse pair of tits. It's a shit show. You'll probably get divorced. Fuck my life. The Opiads what they called their update, and says, I want to start off by saying those of you who commented on some version of did you only marry her boobs or her, go to hell. Actually get on a course on phonics, then go to hell. If that's all you got from the post, then I can only hope you don't have kids to pass your low IQs down to. I've done some soul searching and have evaluated my true feelings on the matter. After speaking with a few people that I trust and my therapist, I'm realizing that my issue wasn't just with a reduction. Does it suck? Sure, but I'll live. I sat down with my therapist and understand that I have 4 main issues with her decision to get the procedure. 1. My wife allowed outside influences to affect our marriage in an irreversible way. 2. The constant pushing of my boundaries during sex. 3. A lack of communication beforehand. 4. A lack of communication after I rejected her advances. I gave it a week and I've come to the conclusion that I can't let these feelings go. If I can't trust that she won't change her body because a creepy dude gives her a look, then how am I supposed to trust her with bigger shit like having kids or buying a house? I asked if she felt happier after the procedure, and she said that she doesn't. I asked if she felt like she was stared at less. She says that she feels like she gets the same amount of looks. I asked if she felt like she got her money's worth. I didn't get an answer for that one, so the whole thing has been a failure. In essence, this was a big waste of time, money, effort, and stress. My friend put me in contact with a lawyer, so done is done, I suppose. She can keep everything, I just want the cat. Finally, for those of you who told me to leave her so she can find someone who actually loves her, you got it. I'm done with her. And after this one, there was a bit of a mix of comments, it has to be said, which I found quite surprising, to be quite honest. The majority of people saying the way it was worded was like completely shitty and horrible, and but a lot of people saying that they understand that marriage is a partnership, etc., and it should have been spoke about not only because they should be working together, but also for financial reasons at the same time. Lots of people saying, she finds a better man. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Whew. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, our next story comes from Red563 from the relationship subreddit and says, me, 24 male, with my girlfriend, 23 female. Girlfriend has princess syndrome. Throw away because my main can be connected to my girlfriend's blog. I've been with my girlfriend for about 5 months. We've been casual friends since college, but only began dating after she graduated. We get along really well. When I say princess syndrome, I don't mean that she is spoiled or entitled, because she isn't. Her clothes seem to take over her life. She dresses like a sort of fairy tale princess on a nearly daily basis, excluding at work. Long, frilly skirts, lacy blouses, things like that. It works for her because she is pretty and can pull it off. At first, I found it very endearing, but then I became aware of how much time she spends on her outfits. She runs a blog that has a sizable amount of followers, and she is constantly posting out outfit pictures, links to clothing items and whatnot. She spends a few hours a day on her blog at least. Then she spends time sewing items for new outfits or for her Etsy store. When we go out, we get lots of stares at what she's wearing. I've also caught people sneaking pictures of her on their cell phones. This attention makes me uncomfortable. I have asked her to tone it down a bit, but she took that to mean not wearing anything in her hair when we're out together. I've told her several times I love her just the way she is, but she seems to brush it off. I'd hoped when she started a new job in the career of her choice that she'd become more serious, but her new boss and co-workers encourage her. I worry that people won't take her seriously or how kind and intelligent she is. How can I talk to her about dressing more appropriately without hurting her feelings? Now, you'll have to excuse my ignorance on this one. I went straight to Google when I saw the title and saw Princess Syndrome. And I did have a quick browse at some of the signs of having it, which it didn't really seem to match up very well. I might be totally wrong. I need to educate myself a bit more later on that, which I'll have a look for sure. So you have to excuse what I say with that in mind. But it just felt like this is just someone who's living the life that the way they want to. It sounds like everyone around her is quite happy. She's happy the way she is. And, it doesn't seem to be having any other negative effects apart from that you disliking it. It sounds like it's connected to a hobby / job in the fact that she blogs about it and it's on Etsy as well. And she's got like a good amount of followers that enjoy what she does at the same time. So I'm struggling myself to see the issue here. But the first commenter says, sounds like you have to get over your insecurities. This is a hobby, her interest, and she's getting positive reactions. You shouldn't be trying to change her, especially when it was something that initially drew you to her. Opie says, I guess I'm having trouble seeing clothing as a hobby. I play video games as a hobby, but that doesn't cause strangers to take pictures of me when I'm trying to shop at the supermarket. I get your point that it initially drew me to her because it did. That's fair. I guess I didn't think that it would be such a constant thing in her life, especially after she graduated. Another commenter says, so you love her just the way she is, but you're assuming she'd take that to mean she should change how she is. That doesn't make sense. This is how she is. She enjoys dressing up like this. Shit, she posts outfit photos online because she enjoys it so much. Other people encourage her because they do like how she is. If you don't like the attention, ask her sometime to just go out with you while she's wearing a casual outfit. But keep in mind that she really loves what she's normally wearing. Opie says, this is my problem. How do I ask her to dress more casually around me without her misinterpreting what I mean again, and also not hurting her feelings? I can think of ways to say one half of that, but it doesn't work with the other half. And a commenter says, if you love her the way she is, why do you want her to change? Just curious. Opie says, she doesn't need all the frilly stuff. She'd still look like a princess. And it's one thing for an artsy college student to dress alternatively, but she's a 23-year-old woman now. I feel like her clothing masks how smart she is and makes her appear shallow. Then someone says to Opie, is it for attention? Opie says, I do think it's an attention thing. She says she doesn't care about what people think about her, but she spends so much time on her blog, replying to comments and such. I kind of doubt it. She also has told me that she loves being approached by little girls while she's dressed up, which definitely makes me think it's about attention. She doesn't dress inappropriately by those standards. She is well groomed and doesn't show much skin. Is it appropriate to wear lacy dresses and flower crowns to the supermarket? Again, it attracts unnecessary attention. So Opie comes in with her first update and says, I didn't plan on updating, but things changed. I realized from my last post that I needed to be more supportive, but also communicate on how she could dress down on certain occasions so we could both be comfortable. Well, I never got a chance to talk to her about it. Last week she called and wanted to stop by my apartment after work. When she got there, I offered to make dinner, but she said she couldn't stay and we had a talk. I jokingly asked if she was breaking up with me, and she looked really guilty. You can see where this is going. We talked about how we're in different places in life and had different goals for the future. Well, she talked, but I agreed. It was a pretty amicable breakup. Even though I felt blindsided, we agreed to stay friends. I've never been dumped before and it's fucking awful. I'm having trouble with the whole social media thing post-breakup. I want a way to keep in touch with her, but as soon as her relationship status changed, all these alternative looking guys have been liking her posts and comments on her pictures. I don't think she's seeing these guys, but it still hurts. My friend wants to set me up on a date, but I don't know if it's a good idea. A couple of the top comments said, Fickle is the head that wears the flowered lace crown. It was never going to work out anyway. You had some laughs and some good times. Enjoy that and move on. Opie says, I understood some of her reasoning. Mainly, I want to move out of the city once my lease is up, and I wanted her to move in with me. I was worried about long distance. She didn't want to leave the city though. She said something about me being controlling too, but I don't think that's the case at all. Someone suggested blocking her. And Opie said we agreed to stay friends, so I don't want to block her. But Opie comes in with her second update, and this update came 9 years later and said, I was going through an old email and found this account again. I was surprised I could still log in, and even more by the amount of people who had reached out to me. It's a bit embarrassing to relive this breakup from almost 10 years ago. In retrospect, it wasn't meant to be, and I think I was reeling more from getting dumped than the loss of the relationship. I'm 33 now and married to a wonderful woman, 31 female, for 4 years. I learned my lesson about supporting my significant other's hobbies. My wife loves running and baking. We have a daughter who is turning 3 this year. I want her to be free to express herself how she likes, as long as it is safe, of course. I would do anything for them. I'm still friends with my ex on social media. We don't talk, but we will like each other's posts. She is married to another woman now who also dresses differently. It's not as frilly as she used to dress, but still unusual. Her pictures look like something out of Anne of Green Gables. She seems very happy on their farm together. And the top comment on that one says, can we expect an update in 10 years when your daughter has become a teenager and developed princess syndrome? Also, congratulations on your life. Opie says, well, she does love pink and purple. Dun, dun, dun. A lot of people mentioning that it sounds like cottagecore. Again, today's a learning day. I'm learning all sorts of new stuff here. I bloody love a learning day, let me tell you. But it says, this is from Google, by the way, from a website called The Spruce. It says cottagecore is an aesthetic and design style that encourages adopting a simpler and more bucolic lifestyle. Its design characteristics include vintage and handcrafted items such as clothing, candles, furniture, and needlework. And I'll post a couple of pictures like right now of a couple of examples I just found on Google. Hopefully they are correct examples because I ain't got a clue. But like when we first come in and we was talking about princess syndrome, I was expecting like, you know, one of these massive like dresses. You see them walking around in at Disney and stuff. Not this. This just seems like a fairly standard dress, I think. Now, our next story apparently is a pretty famous one, but I haven't seen this one before. But let's get involved. It's called Avengers Assemble. An innocent woman stuffed so she can leave her ex. It starts off. I'm about to have a fun afternoon. So my trainer's boyfriend cheated on her. She broke up with him. He's holding her stuff hostage until she agrees to talk with him, which she refuses. She trains for free, mind you. 3 college linebackers, a college wrestler, 2 martial artists, a bodybuilder, and wait for it, a Navy SEAL. We're gonna go and get her shit for her. This should make for an interesting story. The next update. So everyone who commented on this being like the Avengers, you are absolutely right. That's what all of us had in our heads when we were rolling over to the dude's house, but I'm very proud to say this ended without violence. Arrival. So the super friends all jumped into one of the linebackers' Explorer and headed over to the dude's house. Okay, the squad, you all know me. But the other martial artist is a little wiry Aikido guy. The linebackers are all giants and estimated combined weight of say 750 to 800 pounds. The wrestler looks like an escaped gorilla, and the Navy SEAL looks like your average guy. But something about him is unsettling. Really unsettling. Unfortunately, the bodybuilder had to work. Anyway, we sent the Aikido guy and the wrestler to the door first, and dude answers, screams at them, then slams the door in their face. Then the giant linebackers head over and they ring the doorbell again. Lo and behold, he was much more polite, but still denied access. Finally, me and the SEAL join the fray. I casually make my way towards the front of the group, but the SEAL decides to climb the banister. We all just turned and stared at him completely shocked when the dude answered the door. He looks at this weird mismatched group of relatively threatening individuals, and one guy perched on his banister like Batman. He was like, fine, go take what you're looking for, the retrieval. So we're all walking through the house, gathering what we think are her things and putting them into 2 boxes. Mind you, we are completely guessing. We didn't even tell her we were coming. Therefore, we had no list of items. The only one really being productive was Aikido, who was legitimately looking for stuff. The linebackers were just randomly picking up furniture, turning it over and putting it back down, just showing off how strong they were. In case the numbers game wasn't enough, I guess they were letting him know that they could break him if they wanted to. The SEAL was just shadowing dude in his own house, walking behind him, not saying much, just being creepy. Then there's me, who was causing general mischief. He said to take what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for. And the wrestler made a freaking sandwich. Because you guys look like you have it under control. And I'm a sucker for an egg salad. We were in and out in 15 minutes. Delivery. So the Autobots rolled out and headed towards Homegirl's spot. She was conveniently outside when we rolled up. We got out and she was like, "How'd you all even know each other?" The truth is, we don't. She sent us all an email once and didn't blind copy us all. She vented to us all about dude holding onto her stuff and we started emailing and that was that. We told her that we went to see her ex. Oh my god, what did you say to him? Nothing. We're not messenger boys, we're delivery boys, and we gave her boxes of stuff. She went through the first box and said that was most of her stuff. Then she got to my box and asked, "What the fuck is all this shit?" So I explained that I took all the batteries out of his remote controls, his deodorant, the light bulb out of his master closet, every pair of dress socks that I could find, the laces out of his running shoes, and all the toilet paper in the house. The guys just looked at me and kind of nodded like they were impressed. She then unexpectedly started crying and thanked us. So you have this group of meatheads all standing awkwardly with this weeper trainer. It was quiet for a second when the seal was like, "So," hopefully I'm going to say it correctly this time, "Chipotle, Chipotle, Chipotle," and we all got burrito bowls. What a great day. Top comments on this one says, "He took all the batteries, dress socks, toilet paper, the laces from his shoes, and his deodorant. Lol, who does that? Seriously, I need to find me some friends like that. That way, once I start dating, if he ever decides to break my heart, which he better not, I'll know I'll be taken care of in the most hysterical way possible. Well, funny for me at least. Lol, please tell me this story is true." But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story with an update, which comes from a throwaway account and says, "I, 26 female, realized I have a crush on my roommate, 24 female. We've been living together for more than 2 years now. My ex-boyfriend, 26 male, and I had been high school sweethearts, but we were a long-distance relationship after I moved for work. He confessed that he had started a relationship with another girl, and he dumped me in the middle of the pandemic. I was a mess. My panic attacks started to happen way more frequently. I was barely functioning. I just worked, cried, and slept for 2 whole weeks. She is amazing. She took care of everything around the house. She made me cake." Keep her right there. "She helped me through my panic attacks, even though it absolutely destroyed her sleep patterns. I'm doing better now, but I can't bring myself to look at her. I've thanked her a lot, but that is not enough. I'm doing much better, more pills now, but I feel incredibly embarrassed. How can I spend time with someone like her? She's so self-assured, kind, assertive, and brilliant. She's a gorgeous, amazing woman, and I feel so self-conscious just sitting next to her. There is a pit in my stomach whenever we talk now. I don't want to bother her anymore. How can she look at me and not feel a bit of contempt? I don't know if she likes me anymore. I know that she is hurt by this, but we used to spend a lot of time together. Now I make excuses. I feel horrible. How do I deal with and communicate with her that I'm grateful for her help and trying to deal with my feelings of what happened, putting pressure on her to help me?" The Gamer Viking says, "Seems like you need to return the favor. Give her a gift or take her somewhere. Do something nice for her." Opie says, "I've done this. I bought a pair of shoes she really wanted. It made her happy. That was one of the better days I had this year. I just feel really awkward hanging out with her." So we're going to go straight to the update, which says, "My roommate has been an angel while I was a barely functioning adult due to my breakup with my boyfriend. She took care of me and helped me deal with my panic attacks. I felt really embarrassed to just hang out with her. I was incredibly nervous, but I posted about this and people gave me some great suggestions. One of the suggestions was to take her out to the park for a walk. She loves the park. Both of us were done with work earlier yesterday. We went to the park together. We just talked and hung out. I felt a lot of embarrassment about exposing my worst, vulnerable moments to her. I really love her company and I've missed this, just hanging out with her. She bought me flowers as a joke and my heart skipped out of my chest. That was a really weird reaction. And while we were eating tacos and She was joking about her job. I realized this kind of felt like a date, and this was the best date ever. I had almost an overwhelming urge to kiss her. We got back to our apartment and I just shut myself into my room and tried to understand all these feelings. I've never felt this way about a girl. I'm scared. I don't know what to do here. Should I just ignore these feelings? We still have a long lease left and I don't want her to be creeped out by me. Some part is telling me to shut up. It would just weird her out. Or become the funny story she tells people, her roommate who she helped out of kindness or pity, and then creeped her out and wanted to be in a relationship. I don't know. I'm scared about ruining our friendship too. 3 months later, Opie comes in with another update and says, my post didn't get a lot of attention, but some people did provide me with really good feedback, and this is a happy update. I decided to keep my feelings to myself and understand if it was just my gratitude and learn about myself in that time. I read a few books and I did some introspection. I've always liked girls. In hindsight, it is pretty obvious why I hated seeing my best friend with her boyfriend. I brushed those feelings aside as jealousy for how good their relationship was. Teenage me was pretty dumb. I also have realized that my roommate was probably asexual. I have known her for a long time and she's not dated one single person, never brought a person home. It made me feel hopeless about my feelings for her. I came out to her about a month ago. I'd left one of my books lying around and she handed it back to me. I made a bad joke. I ended up explaining that I think I'm bi. It was pretty awkward. She told me she was into girls, but she thinks she is demisexual, and it takes her a lot to form the emotional bond needed to be ready to have sex. I probably made a mess of the conversation. I thought there was no way she would form such a bond with me. She ended up asking me out while we were cooking dinner last week. I was pretty surprised, honestly. It is scary and a bit awkward moving from being roommates to girlfriends. Scary as hell, but even with the uncertainty about if we could work, I feel incredibly comfortable around her. I can be myself and I know she won't judge me and she loves it. And there were multiple comments below that one saying, oh my god, they were roommates. I'm not sure what that means. I'm going to need to educate myself. I imagine it's some kind of meme or Friends episode or something like that. But what a lovely little story to finish with. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, our next story comes from Accomplished COD 1527 and says, crazy coworker expects me to pay for her food. And this was from the Coworker Stories subreddit. My coworker basically had to leave the restaurant and go get her wallet, go back to the restaurant and pay because I lied and told her I didn't have my wallet. For some context, this coworker makes less than I do, but not a lot less. Every time we go to breakfast or lunch, she left her wallet somewhere new. I have paid before, and then I'll have to send her a Venmo request, which she sends back days or weeks later. Sometimes I've forgotten, and she's always gotten away with it. I started to notice this, and today she asked me if I wanted to go get breakfast with her. I told her I'd go with her, but had already had breakfast. Of course, when we sit down, she says, oh my god, I forgot my wallet. And I said, oh my god, me too. Lol. I tell her to go get it from the car and she says she'll try Apple Pay. She eats and when time to pay comes, she asks if they use Apple Pay and they don't. I'm a very overprepared person and was embarrassed that she waited till she ate to ask that when we could have quickly walked to her car and gotten the wallet. Anyway, she asked me again if I'm sure I don't have my wallet, which I thought was weird, and I said yes. The place let her come back a little later to pay since we showed them where we worked on the block. The whole way back to work, she went on about how embarrassing that was and said to me, you never have your wallet when I need it, which I was so confused. The sheer audacity. I said, excuse me? I always have my wallet or a form of payment, which is why we have been here before, and I've paid for you. And it's crazy to say that to me when you never have your wallet and when I didn't eat. And she just looked like a deer in headlights. I was appalled. I genuinely think this woman may be cray after this. How can she, after eating on her own and not being able to foot her own bill, then turn around and tell me I never have my wallet? Edit. I didn't expect this to go semi-viral. Thanks for all the comments and advice. Just want to add a couple of points that I think are important. 1, we're the only 2 women at the office. Our boss is rarely here and all other employees are remote. We basically just make sure the satellite office doesn't fall apart and get whatever our boss needs, collect the mail, etc. So we have a lot of downtime. We don't even have to answer phones, so we go to breakfast at a cafe nearby often since it takes us 20 to 30 minutes to eat, and our boss encourages it. After these comments, I'll definitely be either eating alone or not going with her. 2. She may be this way with everyone because on her birthday, she posted a Venmo on Facebook and asked people to send gifts through there. Oof, God. Oh, no way. People when they do that, man, it just makes me cringe inside. Like, post on Facebook for that sort of stuff. I've only ever seen something once kind of similar like that. We got in a pub in the UK called Weatherspoons that serves food as well. Fairly cheap stuff, you know. But basically on there, you can order through the app. You can order all your food and stuff and table number. And I remember someone putting on Facebook once saying, oh, I'm at this restaurant and it's my birthday and I can only afford one drink. So if any of my friends or family would like to show their love and treat me, I'm at this table. So like they could order for her and then pay through the app. And apparently she had like a bit of a history of doing this kind of thing as well. I just couldn't bring myself to do that, man. Holy moly. And like OP said in this, the fact that, you know, she knew she didn't have her wallet, but still was going to eat first and then I might try this other form of payment to see if it works. And ask if they do Apple Pay. Surely you'd confirm that before. This person just sounds shady as hell, don't they? But Good Bunch says, either you are way too nice or this is some kind of codependent relationship. You supported this behavior well beyond reason. How come? OP says definitely both. I'm way too nice and there aren't a lot of people at this job, so we just use each other for some small talk here and there, so we don't go insane in the silence all day. Definitely not going to eat with her again, and after these comments I may just mention to her that I think she's mooching next time. She asked me to go eat with her anywhere. She's also one of those people who is always going through something, so it took me a while to notice she's blatantly mooching off me. She knows I'm just lucky to have inherited my apartment from an uncle with no kids and I don't pay rent, which makes me feel like she may have excused it to herself as she has more than enough money. But hey, I'm trying to save too and was born piss poor. My only asset is where I live. It's a 1-bedroom in a bad area. Also realizing as I type this that there was no reason I should have ever shared that with her. Left Click says I agree with this. There was a girl I went to junior high with who ended up going to the same college as me. It was nice to see a familiar face, so I didn't think anything of it when we started meeting up in the lunchroom. One day she asked me if I knew how much an energy drink was and I told her. She asked if I had an extra $1, so I gave it to her. Little did I know that dollar was like the gateway to the numerous times thereafter that she would ask me for money. She promised to pay the $1 back, but that never happened. The most I gave her was $3 and her promises to pay back remained unfulfilled. I was more annoyed that seeing each other was about her asking me for money, not a move towards genuine friendship. I started avoiding the area and either accepting invitations to eat off campus or eat somewhere else away from the vicinity of the lunchroom. I did this for a while until one day I ran into her on the way to the student office. She stopped me and told me she hadn't seen me in a bit, but she was short on money to use the vending machine. I don't know whether I was in a good mood or what came over me, but I froze and said, "Sorry, I only brought enough money for myself. Ask someone else." She had the nerve to press me, and I told her I was sorry, but I already told her I couldn't help her. The last image of her as I continued on my way was her just standing there with her mouth half open in disbelief. I'm not sure if she dropped out or switched schools because I never ran into her again. OP says she has done this too. I keep my energy drinks in the office fridge and she'll ask for one and says she'll pay me and she doesn't. Thankfully it happened once and the second time I said no. Left Click replies to that and says, "Good gracious." I love a good gracious. You've got a full-blown mooch that you're associated with. I've seen suggestions in other threads about locked cooler lunchboxes. You can't trust this person around any of your stuff. So OP did come in with her update. It starts off pretty intense. It says she got fired over the weekend because she sent an email to the wrong client enclosing a bunch of confidential agreements. This is not the first time she's gotten reprimanded before, so I was not surprised since she and I both knew she was on thin ice with my boss. The most shocking part to me was that she immediately blocked me on all social media and texts as soon as she left. even though I stayed cordial with her since the last time we went to eat and wrote the post. So I definitely feel like even more of an idiot than I felt after the wallet comment. Can't believe I trusted someone for 4 years who was waiting for any second to remove me from my life. Let this be a reminder that co-workers are not friends. And the top comment on that one from Shoot says, maybe she knew you were talking shit on Reddit. OP says, can't say that didn't cross my mind. Lol. And I kind of find that sad that someone's tainted that for OP, that co-workers can't be friends. And I imagine that a few people will agree with OP on that one. But some of my best friends to this day were ex-co-workers. Actually thinking about it, the majority of them are. And I just kind of find it a bit sad that, like I said, it's been tainted for OP. Maybe not. Maybe OP is just going to be a bit more cautious, which isn't a bad thing at the same time. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Have you ever had yourself a crazy co-worker story? Don't forget r/Mark Narrations. Share your little bit of drama right there. I'm all for it. Give me that tea. And let's move on to another story. And our next story does have a couple of updates as well. It's from Feeling Worse Zelda, who says, I, 25 male, have a hard time finding girls to date because I want them to like The Legend of Zelda. And I'm sure the majority of people know The Legend of Zelda, but just in case, it's an action-adventure video game. You can see the majority of you now look at me like, we all know what that is, but just in case, calm down, alright? Hi everyone. This might seem like deja vu to you, but that's because I made a thread about a month ago here that was very similar to this, but I forgot what the throwaway account I used was. But basically I'm creating this thread because things have gone for the worse and I really badly need advice. So basically, I seem to only be attracted to girls who are obsessed with The Legend of Zelda like me. A few weeks ago, I met this girl in my class who is very sweet, and quite honestly, I feel I might have a shot with her if I put in some effort. And at first I felt like going for it. However, my brain came to its senses and figured she doesn't like Zelda, then she's no good. And honestly, I'm really sad by this. I know I make a big deal out of mentioning Zelda, but I think that in general there is a bigger underlying problem. I'm part of a minority since my parents are immigrants in this country, and for a few years I've gone for girls who were culturally similar to me. As in girls who grew up with the same culture and traditions as me. This was a big deal to me, and I refused to date outside of my culture. This was, by the way, completely my desire. My parents never pressured me into this. I feel it was part of my identity crisis that many immigrant kids go through growing up. Well, I dated a few girls who were culturally compatible with me. However, things turned bad, and in general, I stopped caring for my parents' culture. So I decided that I no longer wanted to date girls from my parents' culture. However, without noticing it, I must have replaced the cultural requirement with a gaming requirement. Now the girl had to share the same passion for Zelda as me, since that gaming series meant a lot to me growing up. Basically what I think this is me being attracted to girls I have things in common with, and not just any things. It has to be things that mean a lot to me. But if these requirements have meant that my dating pool is extremely small, and honestly, I wish I could stop thinking like this, but I can't. For instance, the girl I met in my class, since we didn't have Zelda in common, the fear of later meeting a girl who does like Zelda will result in me getting really jealous and feel like I settled when I could have gotten my dream girl, somebody with the same passion in common. I honestly don't know how to deal with this. It's not just something I can switch off. All I can think about is just meeting a girl who shares the same love for Zelda as me, and I feel like that's the only way to get over this. Now obviously I don't want to diagnose or anything like that, but it does sound pretty unhealthy the way that you described it in this particular post. The fact that it's affecting your life in a negative way just says to me that, maybe it's time to seek some help about this. Not Reddit help, professional help. And the fact that, you're saying yourself that you wish you could stop thinking like this, it just screams that to look for some sort of professional help with it. But Dolomite says, have you talked to a counselor about this? You mentioned going to class, and many universities have free on-campus counseling. Maybe it's something for you to look into. On a more direct note, you will learn more from someone you differ from than you would from someone with the same life experience as you. You should embrace differences, not shun them. It can only serve to broaden your outlook. OP says, I guess that's true. but I've come to believe that it's different strokes for different folks. Some people might see the appeal in others who are different from them, but I can't. In fact, I'd rather stay single than be in a relationship with somebody who is different from me. It's just what appeals to me, I guess. Kornberg says this is beyond Reddit's pay grade. If you want to stop obsessing over this and it's harming your ability to live a full life, it's time to see a professional counselor or therapist. On the scale of the weird shit they've seen, I promise that you're nowhere close to someone who would freak them out. You're not crazy, you don't need to be committed to a hospital, and you probably don't even need medication. What you're going through is much more common than you think. From what you said, you're likely experiencing anxiety about dating or getting close to someone and are using your extremely specific partner requirements to avoid the risk. I use World of Warcraft to avoid confronting my depression and anxiety over dating after my boyfriend broke up with me in a very cruel way. It's not an uncommon response to complicated and scary situations. Talking to a professional help will help you figure out strategies that will help you cope with those emotions, will allow you to move past this problem. There's nothing wrong with preferring to date someone with common interests, but you're taking this preference too far and it's creating a wall between you and relationships with other people. And I gotta say, that's one of the things that I absolutely love about Reddit. There's someone going through a similar situation, or pretty much a same situation as OP in the comments. I find that incredible. But OP says, well, about using my requirements as an excuse. I did date a girl in the past who were into Zelda as well, and we were together for a year and I was very happy in that relationship. We broke up because she ended up cheating on me. If I had to guess, I'd say I'm more than ready to be in a relationship. However, the thought of dating someone with nothing in common just seems unappealing to me. OP comes in with their first update and says, a lot has changed since I made that update. Actually, I can't believe it has only been a week since I posted that. It feels like much longer. I started using Tinder. I figured I'd just see what it's like. Earlier today I matched with this girl that I thought was cute. I know the chances of her liking Zelda is too slim to zero, but I'm trying so hard to push myself to send her a message. I read all your comments in my last post and I thought long and hard about them. I honestly didn't know what to say to most of them. I've considered all the advice I've received heavily. I'm just honestly feeling like having a panic attack. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but I'm scared of jumping into something that I will regret. What if I send her a message and we hit it off and she doesn't like Zelda? We have nothing in common. The thought freaks me out and I just don't know. On top of that, I keep thinking to myself that maybe if I wait it out, the one girl who likes Zelda as well will come along, but if I settle for somebody else now, then I will never end up with a girlfriend who also likes Zelda. It's so stupid. All the things I just wrote are so stupid. I know it makes no sense at all, but I'm just literally freaking out and feel like I'm having a mental breakdown. I want to send this girl on Tinder a message or just meet any girl who doesn't necessarily like Zelda, but this is all freaking me out so much. Update 2. This will probably be my final update because at this point I don't feel like there's anything left to do or say. I can't imagine anyone giving any sort of advice to help me on my situation, so if anything, this is just more like closure for me. So to pick up where I left off earlier this week, I sent a message to the girl on Tinder. I tried to make a short and clever joke, but it backfired since she never replied back, so that was that. I know that 95% of all posts have told me to go to therapy. I finally made the call. Unfortunately, they told me there is a waiting list and that the earliest appointment I could get was in February. Please note, I don't live in America, so we don't really have fast therapists here. Or maybe I just haven't called the right people yet. Perhaps there are some therapists I'm supposed to call, but the organization that I was told to call told me that all therapists were completely booked, so that was that. I've come to the conclusion that there isn't much to do about this. I've joined a bunch of Facebook groups dedicated to Zelda, and I'm trying to make friends there, both genders. If I ended up liking a girl there, then that's great, and I'd even be willing to do an online relationship and eventually move her to a place if it gets so far. My career is very flexible, so I can find jobs many places in the world. I don't know what else there is to say. I'm sorry for letting everyone down. So OP comes in with what is the final update and says, guys, I think I'm cured. It was a strange event, but what the heck? It made me realize something. I was studying late at night in my room a few days ago. I have this shelf in my room with a bunch of Zelda collectibles and a really expensive Zelda figurine underneath it, $400+. But guess what? As my luck would have it, IKEA's shelf gave in. All my collectibles fell to the ground and the shelf knocked down my figure and destroyed it. Obviously a distressing moment for me, but it was also at that time I realized I need to perhaps chill with this hobby, and that the hobby can still be mine without having to necessarily share it with a significant other. Of course, I would prefer it if she liked Zelda too, and it would definitely be a huge plus in my book, but if I fall in love with a girl who isn't into Zelda, I guess that's just how it's going to be. I'm honestly not going to worry too much about this, to be honest. I have enough on my plate with studies as it is. Plus, gotta take some extra shifts at work so I can replace my broken statue and collectibles. Unfortunately, some of them can't be bought anymore, but oh well, such is life. Thanks everyone for reaching out to me and helping me. This has been an eye-opener for me. I'm more than willing to date a girl who doesn't care about Zelda because honestly, if she's just there for me and makes me happy, I feel that is all I can ask for. However, if she happens to like Zelda too, then that's great. Not a requirement, just a plus. And there was a comment which OP replied to about asking if this whole thing is real, and OP says, "So if I take pictures of the damage done to my collection and screwed up wall, all with timestamps, is that going to prove anything? I find it funny how there's news about a Saudi prince who's been arrested in SoCal for forcing women to watch him have a guy fart in his face, yet me wanting a girlfriend who's into Zelda as well is apparently a lot more strange, so it has to be fake and a troll." What? I really do hope the best for this dude, but in the end, it didn't convince me that he's moved past whatever he's going through. It still felt like it was in there in the background. You know, he's still going to buy Zelda figurines. He's still going to be a part of these groups. And it almost felt like, to me anyway, like he was trying to convince himself. But whatever, I still hope that at some point in the future, he does get this professional help or find someone that isn't so busy so he can get some sort of professional help. But what do you guys make of this situation? Bit of a different one there. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, our next story comes from Throwaway Oat Milk, who says, "My 23 female, boyfriend 25 male, thinks my dad's 59 male gifts are creepy. Red flag? Every year for Valentine's Day, my dad, 59 male, gives or sends me 23 female flowers and a box of chocolate. He has done this every year since I've been old enough to remember. He'd always give them to me when I was little. When I went to college and beyond, he has them delivered to me. It's just a tradition for us. I think it's sweet. I grew up in a really tight-knit, close family. I started dating my boyfriend, Mark, 25 male, a little over a year ago. Last Valentine's Day, I got the usual delivery from my dad. Mark saw and said, 'Oh, your dad sent those. Oh, okay.' And that was it. Fast forward to this year. Last night, Mark and I were discussing our Valentine's Day plans for this year, like what restaurant we should go to, and he made a passing comment about hoping I don't get any creepy gifts in the mail this year. I was confused and asked him what he meant, and he said, 'You know, how you got that stuff from your dad last year. It's creepy for a dad to be sending his adult daughter Valentine's Day gifts.' I was taken aback because it's not like my dad sent me lingerie or something. It was just flowers and some chocolate. I tried explaining to Mark that this is a tradition I have always shared with my dad. He stands firm that it's creepy and weird, and he said he asked his friends and they thought it was weird too. I tried to let it go, but it's been bothering me. 1. I've never heard these kinds of negative comments from Mark before, and I'm not sure whether it's a red flag. I have never been in a serious relationship before, and I'm still figuring it all out. 2. When my dad's delivery comes this month, I don't want Mark to feel uncomfortable. 3. Is it actually creepy for my dad to be sending this stuff? I've never found it so, but would like to hear other perspectives. Thanks." Personally, if I was in that situation, I'd be asking him why he considers that creepy. What is his logic behind this? What is he exactly thinking the dad is thinking about this situation? And then just watch him squirm. I don't think this kind of thing is creepy at all. I think, like OP said, it's pretty sweet. In my younger years, I used to get my mum a bunch of flowers for Valentine's Day, and my dad, I used to get this pack of like 2 cream cakes, and we would share them together. It's just because I loved him. There was nothing weird about it at all. It's just showing my love on that particular day. which I know is a commercialized day and all that sort of stuff, but I enjoyed doing that on that particular day for my parents when I could. And to be quite frank, it would really piss me off if someone tainted that for me. But Intelligent Ad says, cherish these times with dad because he will be gone someday. OP says, oh for sure. I'm not going to tell my dad to stop the Valentine's Day gifts. I know he loves the tradition and I don't want him to feel any type of negative way about it. I'm so sorry to everyone who's lost their fathers or father figures. I know I'm extremely lucky to have such a great dad. So many people don't. I cherish all my family. Zoe says maybe he feels forced to do more than he wants to compete with your dad or whatever. Don't change your tradition with your dad. It's sweet and a great proof of your good bond. It's not creepy at all. Like Mike says, it's not creepy, it's sweet. Mark is a fucking arsehole. I always find it funny saying my name and then calling myself an arsehole. We're a bunch of arseholes, us guys. I'm a dad of 2 girls, and this makes me sad that a father showing love for his daughter is thought of as creepy. Every year I get my girls a piece of jewelry, flowers, and to make them dinner. You have a limited amount of Valentine's Day with your dad on this earth. One day, he won't be around to send your cherished Valentine's gifts. All you'll have is Mark and his stupid fucking thoughts. And if you and Mark stay together, he'll probably rethink how creepy it was that your dad loved you, and then want to do the same for his daughters. Meanwhile, you'd have missed precious years of gifts from your own daughter. Mark's a dick. Mark needs to grow the fuck up. OP did come in with an update and said, hi all. It's been a long 2 months and I'm sorry for not updating sooner, but I just needed a break. I really appreciate all the insight I got into my original post. We broke up. I tried having a legitimate conversation with Mark, ex-boyfriend, about why he found the gifts creepy. He's close with his family. They show a regular amount of affection for a close American family, so it wasn't that. He could not articulate to me why he found it creepy. He just kept saying that it made him uneasy. No further explanation. There is only so much I can do regarding that, so I gave up on trying to find the root issue. He originally said he talked to his friend about it and they all found it weird. Yeah, he never did that. He admitted he made it up. He also confessed he cheated on me with 2 different girls, which took me by complete surprise. I got tested, all is fine in that regard. So yeah, I ended it. He begged me to stay and said I was the one. I refused. I said something along the lines of, you cheated on me, you lied to me, and we have different core family values. When he realized I wasn't coming back, he told everyone I cheated on him. My friends were furious on my behalf and wanted to give him a piece of their minds, but I told them I just don't want to deal with him ever again. I'm so done. I just don't care anymore. He's blocked. So basically, I still have no idea what his problem with the gifts was, but good riddance. And for everyone who said I had a good dad, trust me, I know and I'm so lucky. I'm going to visit him next month and can't wait. Thank you all. And just 2 of the top comments from that post. So Cultural Shape quotes OP saying, he also confessed he cheated on me with 2 different girls, which took me by complete surprise, and then says, the guy who sees sexual intent in total innocuous gestures just because the people involved happen to be different sexes turned out to be cheating himself. I'm sorry you got blindsided with that, but I can't say I'm surprised. No Pop says only a guess, but his reaction suggests that he was uncomfortable knowing that he wouldn't be able to isolate you from your father, and that your father would be protective of you if he, the ex, was abusive. I was kind of interested to know how this conversation played out in the update because of like the confession of him cheating with 2 different girls. Like, did they break up and then suddenly he just word vomited that, oh yeah, and I've slept with 2 other people, which I just found really strange at the same time. It just felt like he was intentionally trying to hurt her, but then turns around and says, and begged her to stay and said she's the one at the same time. It's just like, what a confusing situation. It might have happened in a completely different order, but that's why I would have liked to know what happened there. But what do you guys make of this situation? I kind of wasn't surprised by how it ended up in the end, but what do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from Throwaway Cat from the True Off My Chest subreddit. It's flagged with a new update, so you may have heard this story in other places. So if you want to skip parts of the story, timestamps are always down in the description. and along the timeline below. Thank you. And before we do get into this story, it does have a warning on it of homophobia as well, and institutionalization. So as always, if you want to skip the story, please feel free to do so. And it's titled, "Found Out My Sister Has Been Lying About Our Family to Her Friends for Years." Not great at explaining things, so bear with me, I guess. About 3 years ago, my 15 female, older sister, 17 female, Leia, fake name, personally basically did a 180 overnight. She went from being the sweet, reliable big sis to kinda snappy and closed off. Stopped doing chores, would get an attitude if anyone reminded her, spent all day in her room. You get the point. I was 12 at the time, so I was like, why is she acting like that? And my brother, 21 male, was moved out and busy with school and whatnot. In the beginning, my parents chalked it up to teenage girl hormones, which was also technically part of the issue. But also one night she just came out of her room crying and told us she is bisexual. My parents were extremely supportive of this, so was my brother because he's gay. I wasn't educated on this kind of stuff at the time, so I didn't get it until my parents explained it to me and why it was such a big deal to her. And I was like, cool, good for you, sis. So anyway, her behavior got better after that, and she was being nice to us again. She didn't hang out with me as much, which is like, what teenage girl wants to be around their little sister, lol. So fast forward 3 years later, me and my sister are really close again, or at least I thought we were. One thing I've noticed, the same with my parents, is that her friends started acting very weird towards us. Like, they wouldn't talk to us when they came over, if they did, or would occasionally make backhanded remarks or roll their eyes when we spoke. It was weird, but again, this was only when they came over, which was rarely. So me and my parents kind of just brushed them off like, whatever, they don't have to like us. I just found out why they act like this. Probably like an hour ago, I don't know. I was peacefully binge watching an anime when my phone started buzzing like crazy. When I checked, I was added to a group chat on Instagram by our friends. In this group chat, they were basically bashing me for being a horrible person. They were calling me homophobic, a spoiled brat, terrible sister, golden child, home wrecker. Kept telling me I need to apologize to my sister for abusing her, so obviously I'm confused. When I expressed my confusion to them, they told me to stop acting dumb and innocent. Later they realized I was being serious and genuinely did not know what they were talking about. That's when they sent me a bunch of screenshots between them and my sister. To sum up, my sister has fed her friends a very wild story about her life and how we treat her. Our parents are extremely homophobic and are kicking her out at 18 because of her sexuality. When she came out, I quickly became the favorite child. I'm spoiled and get everything I want, and because of this, I treat her badly for fun. I hit and steal and break her things, verbally abuse her and call her homophobic slurs. Not only do my parents allow it, they encourage it. She's forced to do all the chores and cooking in the house, including cleaning my room. This girl does not know how to cook. Lied about other stuff like having autism and making fun of her, which is crazy because I'm the one with autism. There's so much more. The screenshots go back like 2 years, so she's been telling them this shit for close to 3 fucking years. I asked them why it's taken them this long to confront me. They said she begged them not to confront or talk to us about it because apparently it will make things worse for her. And her plan was to just go no contact with us once she's 18. But they couldn't hold back this time because the most recent thing she told them was that apparently I found out about the guy she likes and is talking to and immediately found his social media, started texting him. Now he won't talk to her. So not the abusing, but this was the last straw that broke the camel's back for them. Lol. I debunked as much as I could, sent them pics from pride festivals we went to with her, sent them pics of us, we take a lot together, sent them pics of my brother with his boyfriend. They were pissed, but I asked them not to do anything until I figure out how to deal with it because apparently my sister is the abused black sheep of the family. They agreed. The convo about me stealing the boy she liked happened a few hours ago. I checked on my sister and she was peacefully sleeping, so she doesn't know about the group chat. As for me, I'm having many emotions about this. Shocked, hurt, angry. It feels like a huge slap in the face. I don't know how to go about this. I don't even know why she's doing it. For attention? I don't know. Reddit, what should I do? So we're just going to cover the top comment on that one with the reply from OP, which says, from Queen Legolas, it says, is it possible she found her coming out to you guys as anticlimactic and about the need to create her own narrative or something. Wouldn't be the first time I've read about someone doing something like this. I read another post of this woman smearing her parents about blogging, about how horribly she was treated, and her parents got wind of it and exposed her. She got in trouble for that. She was an adult too. I suggest inviting all the friends and the parents and confront her together so she doesn't continuously change her narrative. It might feel like ganging up on her, but this is how you catch her in her lies. She's almost 18. She could leave soon and destroy your family's reputation. She's already doing that, but she could lie about all that in her college applications and other stuff. Have your parents contact the therapist to update on what she's been up to. Opie says, I honestly have no clue. I wrote in another comment that reading the messages from the screenshots her friends sent me, I couldn't even recognize her. She sounds like another person in these texts. I thought her friends were just fabricating it. At home, she's completely normal, doesn't lie, sweet as always. Mature, you get the idea. Can you send me a link to that post, please? I think I remember that story, unless it was another story that was mentioned about someone that was blogging how bad their life was in their family, and the family eventually found it. But OP did update their post with their first update and said, first off, I want to thank everyone for the advice. You all helped me get my thoughts in order, so I really appreciate that. So now for the update. I talked to my parents and it kind of went how I expected. Kinda not. Also, I know this is kinda late. I do apologize for that. I stayed up most of the night. A, because I was reading your comments and whatnot, and B, couldn't sleep that much, lol. I went with the obvious advice you all gave me and took screenshots of everything, including the messages from the last night group chat. My dad gets home earlier than my mum, and my sister has a part-time job, so I spoke to my dad first. Obviously he was furious, shocked, hurt. It was hard watching it happen since I love my dad. He also apologized a lot, as I'm the one who had to find this out and sit him down. Anyway, my mum got home and my dad wanted to talk to her alone, so I went into my room. This is the unexpected part. I heard my parents arguing a lot, and I'll skip the details, but I later found out that mum knew about Leia's lies. She found out about 5 months ago and didn't tell my dad. I didn't know the details, but apparently she made my sister promise not to do it anymore and just trusted that she wouldn't. Lol. Safe to say, my dad was pissed. Leia got home and things got worse. More screaming from Leia. It was hard not to hear because I was literally in the house, but my dad said that Leia was punching and scratching her legs, threatening to kill herself. Also screaming that she was going to kill me. So I was kind of scared to leave my room. Literally never heard my sister scream like that before. My dad was already mad that my mum went behind his back and kept him out of something that involves his child. My mum defended herself, saying that she was just protecting Leia and that she's just a kid. But my dad is smart enough to realize that Leia is clearly not mentally well, and she needed to be put in an MH. A lot of you said the same. From what I heard and what my dad told me, my mum begged him not to. But dad was already pissed about what she already did, so he threatened to leave her if she didn't comply. There was more arguing, but eventually they did drive her to the hospital, and obviously I haven't seen her. Me and my dad are now at my grandparents' dad's side, and he's not currently speaking to my mum. But he did tell her that if she tries to take Leia out, then she is ending their marriage. I also spoke to my brother, and obviously he was hurt but concerned for our sis, so there's that. My dad and I have talked a lot. Good talks. He apologized to me for everything going on, but it's not his fault. So there's nothing to forgive. If anything, I feel more bad about the situation. But me and my dad are good. I'm not exactly sure where my parents' relationship stands right now, but dad told me not to worry about adult stuff and just focus on being a kid and going to school. So that's what I'm going to try and do. That's basically everything for now. I will update if anything else happens. Thank you again, Reddit. So there was a few comments on that update with replies from OP. Beaksy says, "You were so brave and I'm so happy you told your parents. It's wonderful that your dad has you and your sister's back. Your mum seems scared and obviously ill-equipped to handle the gravity of your sister's symptoms. Your dad's right though, he's got this. You're safe and loved. It takes work, but now your sister's actions and symptoms are in the open, you can all start to heal. By telling your dad you started the healing journey. That's huge and an amazing thing. Some reassurance regarding your sister. 7 years ago, my sis had several psychotic breaks. It was a combo of drugs, complex trauma, later diagnosed BPD, so a different situation, but it did result in her threatening to kill me, and she wanted to, as she was taken to MH. It was scary, After her doing a shit ton of work, therapy, taking her meds, etc., she is leveled, honest, and just a little weird. We have a strong and very honest relationship. Opie says I didn't mention this in either of my posts because I didn't think it was relevant, and now it kinda is. An issue with my mum is that ever since Leia came out, she does kind of coddle her and makes excuses for her shitty behavior. Like example, why is Leia kind of being rude today? Mum says, oh well, I'm sorry, she's just young and trying to navigate her sexuality as a young teenager, and you get it, lol. So Kobil says, wait, during a freakout, did your sister at any point try to explain why she did that? I mean, I have a pretty good idea why, but I want to hear what she had to say. Also, please stick with your dad. Opie says she didn't explain no. At first, Dad said she was lying. She said her friends were trying to get her in trouble. Then she said I was trying to get her in trouble, but Dad wasn't having it. She tried making excuses, but in the end, I didn't find out the reason from her. Someone asks Opie why the mum was trying to hide it from their family and thinking it was a phase, etc. Opie says, I have a theory as to why. Unfortunately, my mum has always been the person to run or turn away from difficult situations. I think that in Mum's heart she knew she needed to do something about it, but at the same time my sister is a sweet angel and my mum just didn't want to face the possibility that Leia is anything other than a sweet angel, so she ignored it and forgot it happened. And someone expressed a lot of concern for OP and, her things if her sister actually gets released. OP says, most of her lies were about me, weirdly enough. It's just so crazy how she can be so loving towards me, but if you read those messages, you'd think she hates me. She didn't just make up lies about how I treat her. She would bash my character at any chance she got, and so would her friends. Things I always thought she loved about me when she was actually making fun of it behind my back for years. I don't know if my dad is considering divorce or not. Marriage counselling for sure. How he sees it if she kept the secret about something so huge for months involving his child. What else is she hiding? Also, I'll talk to my dad about erasing me from her phone, lol. And people can say what they want, but I will not be giving her a pass for what she did because her mental health is shit. Mental health or not, she made a choice. The choice to actively bash and destroy my character behind my back for 3 years. She is my sister and I will always love and care for her, and I'm rooting for her to get better. But as of right now, I don't have to like her. It's going to take a long time for her to earn my trust back and forgive her, if she even wants that. I don't think my sister even likes me, lol. I don't have to be the fire that keeps her warm. Someone talks about the mental health side and the sister getting therapy. Opie said, like I said before, I don't know the ins and outs of therapy or mental hospitals. I wasn't there when they took her. All I know is that they were gone for a few hours before they came back, and me and my dad went to my grandparents. I asked my dad about it and they said it honestly depends on the situation and what the person is dealing with. When they took her, her legs were bleeding and swollen from hurting herself, plus the details of what happened previously. So yes, as of right now, she's in 72-hour hold or whatever. It's not just the fact that she was making threats, she was literally injured from hurting herself. And Diane says it's probably a good idea to limit her internet access for a bit after she gets out, or at least to monitor it a lot. There's a chance she might start spreading lies on there too, if she's given the chance right after coming back. Also, I know you said that your father isn't going for divorce yet, but please tell him to still gather evidence now of what your mum did just in case. Theoretically, if it does come to divorce, if your sister ends up in sole or majority custody of your mother, I'm willing to bet she's going to keep enabling your sister. And since your mum did already, your sister will probably ask to be with her. At your ages, courts usually let teens decide who to be with. Your father would have to prove why that would be bad. Just based off my experiences going through a shit ton of custody battles when I was younger between my parents. Opie responds saying, yeah, my dad has already said that he will do everything to help my sister get better, but she's not getting a pass because of her mental issues. She still chose to do something awful, continue doing it for 3 years. She's not going to have the same privileges she had when she gets out. No phone or other entertainment devices for a while, and no hanging out with friends outside of school. Not that she has any more. The point is, if I didn't find out when I did, something very catastrophic could have happened, like getting CPS called on them, or worse. Dad said that Leia needs to understand that as much as good behavior gets rewarded, bad actions can have consequences. As for my parents, I still have no idea. They did end up speaking on the phone earlier, but it was pretty short. All I know right now is that Dad doesn't trust Mum and thinks she might be hiding other stuff, and definitely wants to get marriage counselling and possibly family therapy for all of us. Opie's Update 2 says, "Hi guys, it's been a minute, but I have another update if you all are still interested. Also, thanks again for the sweet comments. It means more than you know." I'll start with some positive stuff first. I got to see my brother and his boyfriend. They took me and my dad to the movies and out to dinner. It was really fun and it took my mind off things. New Year's was really fun. I spent it with my dad's side of the family. I haven't shared too much details with friends because this is a family matter, but from what they know, they've been super supportive and sweet. Now, onto other stuff. Leia was supposed to get out on the 1st, but that didn't end up happening. She did get out on the 5th and is at home with our mum. Again, I repeat, I don't know how all that stuff works. I had a conversation with my dad about not feeling comfortable going home and being around my sister and mum just yet. He was very understanding, but he did have to go back for obvious reasons, and my grandparents were more than pleased to keep me there. Lol. About my sister, from what I know, her first day out she didn't talk to anyone and basically just slept the rest of the day. Second was a little rough. She wasn't happy about not getting her phone back or having some privileges taken from her. My mum tried to fight with my dad about it, but basically gave up as she's still in hot water with him. When my mum found out I wasn't coming home right away, wasn't really open to talking to Leia about the situation yet. She got pretty upset and sent me a message. She basically said that I can't be mad at Leia because she's not well and needs all the support she can get right now. And apparently she's distraught that I don't want to talk to her and I'm making things worse. Okay, literally never cared less. Leia does have depression and anxiety. I don't know any more than that other than she's being medicated. I'm pretty sure my dad did talk to my sister's therapist due to her update on the situation. My dad did go through my sister's phone and it wasn't cute. He found a group chat where my sister and her friends would basically harass this girl from their school. Reason? No clue. Not just for that situation, but for the whole situation in general. My dad did have to find the numbers of Leia's friends' parents and let them know what's been going on. I have no clue what's happening with them, but it's none of my business. Leia did admit that the lying was for attention and false sympathy, and she never meant for it to go this far. Not sure if I believe that entirely. I don't think I need it, but my dad also wants to put me in therapy, so I'm just going with it. Big issue right now, my mum continues to coddle and enable my sister. My sister knows this too, so she hasn't been going to my dad about anything because she knows that he is actually going to parent her. My mum will try to stand her ground with Leia, but then the waterworks start and blah blah blah. It's annoying and it makes my dad upset. It's the fact my sister knows she can get my mum to do what she wants. It's manipulative and gross. I've gone back to school and Leia is coming back soon. I'm worried for when that happens. A lot of you said that she might try and spin the story with the teachers or counselors, but also as of right now, my sister is essentially friendless and I'm not going to talk to her at school either. I mean, it is the consequences of her own actions, but I can't help but pity her. I just don't want her loser ex-friends to come up and be arseholes to her. At the end of the day, I think that inevitably there will be a meeting with Leia, my parents, ex-friends and their parents, and the girl that Leia and her friends harassed. I already said this in a comment, but I'm going to say it here too. Regardless of what you think, I do not plan on forgiving or speaking to my sister anytime soon. She does not get a pass because her mental health is shit. She still actively chose to do something disgusting and continued to do that for 3 years. She did not just make up lies about how I treat her and her loser squad would actively make fun of and bash my character any chance they got. Looks, hobbies, interests were all bashed. I would never let someone speak about my sister the way they let them speak about me. I love her and genuinely hope she gets better, but I do not have to like her. My mum can think I'm a brat and my sister can cry about it as much as she wants. I don't care. It's going to take a long time for me to trust her again. It honestly terrifies me to the core how insanely two-faced a person can be. It literally baffles me. Main issue right now, mum and dad. My dad wanted to fight for their marriage, he really did. Looked into marriage counselling and IC immediately. But after more talking and arguing about my sister, my mum lying and continuing with her BS, my dad ended up finding something very disgusting that my mum has been hiding from him that left him heartbroken. I'd rather not get into it, but I'm sure you'll have some ideas. I'm still letting all of this process, so no, my dad does not plan on continuing with my mother. Things are a little tough right now. My dad can't exactly just leave our house, mainly because my sister refuses to leave my mum, and understandably, my dad doesn't want to leave Leia alone with her, so he's staying just until some legal stuff is sorted out, and I don't plan on going back anytime soon. That's basically it for now. I don't know if I'll update again, we'll just have to wait and see. I love my dad so much, he's my best friend, so I'm going to try my best to cheer him up and be a good kid during these times. Thanks again for all the support. You all are great. One comment with reply before the next update. Vanilla Blue Violet says, situations like this that make you realize who your parents' favorite child is, and it sounds like Leia is your mum's. Does your mum have a history of doing the same thing, lying for attention? Opie says, to be honest, I've always been closer with my dad. Leia's always been closer to my mum. Growing up, my mum has never showed any blatant favoritism between us, but it's always been kind of obvious to members outside of immediate family which child is closer with which parent. To answer your last question, I'm honestly not sure if she was like that when she was younger. If you haven't already guessed, some people have, my dad recently found out my mum had an affair. And from what I've observed and what I've been updated on, my mum refuses to take accountability for it and keeps playing the victim. So OP's next update says, honestly, didn't think I'd be making another update, but the account has just been sitting here and I felt bad for leaving everyone on a cliffhanger. Lol. Spoilers, it got worse. So I'll start with my parents. They aren't speaking. Well, they are through attorneys, but my mum can't be civil for 2 seconds in the same room as my father. I did write this in a comment, but yes, my mother was having an affair. There were some theories that my sister found out about the affair which triggered her breakdown, or she found out, so mum and her were covering for each other. My mum's affair started just short of a year ago and Leia had no clue. It's unknown if this was my mother's only affair. Now onto Leia. She got much worse. My mum basically went against everything my dad and her agreed on and gave her phone back plus other privileges. My dad wasn't even surprised anymore and just turned her service off. He pays for all of our phones. He's also planning on taking mum and sis off the family plan. She did go back to school, which turned out the way I expected. She's doing school from home now and I'll get into that. In my last post I believe I mentioned that my dad went through my sister's phone and found a very disturbing group chat where Leia and the losers would bully this girl. I don't think I can actually classify what they were doing to this girl as bullying though. I talked about it in private messages with someone, but it's not something I want to repeat on here. Please just know it was very, very disturbing and gross. Enough so that the school needed to get involved, which did happen. I'll just call the girl Claire. I won't get into the details of what happened during the school meeting, but ex-friends and my sister got expelled. Yes, expelled. Leia's one and only excuse for bullying was she was a bitch to me. My parents were just going to enroll Leia in an alternative school, but our ex-friend group was also going to that school. They were angry with my sister, threatening to jump her and stuff. My mum feared for her safety, ironic, so she's doing it from home instead. I actually spoke to Claire privately, mostly to apologize on behalf of my sister and let her know we had no clue. She was honestly one of the sweetest people I've ever spoken with. I feel terrible. She did not deserve what my sister putting her through. That honestly makes me ashamed that I'm related to her. Claire is doing okay though. She has a good support system and is in therapy. Leia has completely stopped going to therapy and taking her meds and basically switched from a victim mentality to straight up being disgusting to everyone in her life that cares about her, with the exception of being nice to my mum when she wants something. Leia and I did eventually end up speaking through texting. When she got her phone back, she sent me a long paragraph on Instagram which I won't post on here, but to sum up, it was basically just her saying that everything that's going on with our family right now is my fault, and all of this could have been avoided if I just talked to her first about the screenshots. Not inherently untrue, but I also don't really care. Originally, I believe my dad was going to try and get primary custody of Leia because he didn't trust my mother for obvious reasons. And I don't know the details of the discussions he's had with his lawyer about it, but Leia's going to be 18 soon. Plus, with everything else going on, I don't think he's going to do that anymore. My dad and I did have a long conversation about Leia, about what the future looks like for her. To sum that up, he will always love and care for her as his daughter, but as a person, he doesn't particularly like her at the moment. If Leia came to him and showed genuine signs of remorse, plus wanting to get better, he would do so in a heartbeat, but as of right now, you can't help someone who doesn't want help. Forcing it won't make things better. As for my mother and I, we aren't speaking either. Our last conversation was mostly her screaming at me and berating me over the phone. Mostly over me being a brat and not wanting to come home, lol. I don't really know what the future looks like right now. All I know is I'm going to stick with my dad. Both my dad and I have been going to therapy, which has been keeping things lighter and less stressful, so that's good. But that's basically the update. I'm sorry to all of you who are really rooting and praying for my sister to get better. This is not easy for anyone in my family right now, but I do apologize. Once again, thanks for all the support and sweet comments. It means a lot. I did end up showing my dad the post, which he thankfully wasn't upset about. He appreciates all the support Reddit has shown our family. I may update again if anything major happens, but if I don't, I don't. Thanks again. What an absolute messy situation, and all I can do is really just hope for some kind of positive outcome. It's really hard to see one at the moment with what's going on. The mum constantly enabling this behavior, allowing it to continue to happen. It just feels like Leia's going to continue to spiral when, she's got that kind of support, and she's obviously going to keep sticking with her mum because her mum continues to enable it. The mum cheating as well, and my heart just goes out to the dad and OP in this. 15 years old and dealing with all this, and the way they talk in this situation as well is incredibly mature. I'm super glad that they said that they're getting some therapy from themselves, because I can't imagine what going through all this, all the emotions that must be tied up with it. You're finding out what your sister's done and the mental health issues at the same time. Of course, no excuses as usual. The mum having an affair, and the mum, keep coddling her, continuously worrying about your dad and his mental health. I just hope that OP finds time for themselves to heal themselves, because that is just absolutely heartbreaking for them. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below.